botulism, cholera, and duck plague into the air. These jousting elk slough off bits of skin and fur, sending millions of harmful bacteria into the air. Our closest relative, the chimpanzee, is itself the fountainhead of AIDS. Bitter at the ascendancy of man, these scheming apes brood this deadly virus in their jungle lairs. Nowhere on Earth is safe from the threat of animals. Even in the bitter wasteland of the Antarctic, penguins walk for miles inland, ensuring their afflictions reach every corner of the globe.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
And, of course, you can bring up absolutely anything that you want to discuss on the radio here with us. And you can sound really awesome, too, if you join our Discord servers. The Discord call-in lines are there, and that allows you to sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio. You go to discord.lrn.fm, and you can do that there as we jump right into a story that, I mean, the headline. It says, this is from thehill.com, top Federal Reserve official says U.S. needs another lockdown to save economy?
The lockdown didn't really do that great for the economy the last time.
No, generally the economy doesn't really work if people are on lockdown, which, by the way, is a term they use in jail and prison. At least I presume in prison. They certainly used it when I was in jail for civil disobedience here.
I can assure you they use it in prison,
They
yes.
would come in and they would yell, "Lockdown!" in the jails, you know, the wing of the jail or whatever that I was in, and then what you were supposed to do is go into your cell. So if you were out in the...
If you didn't, they'd come in with guys with clubs and beat you.
That's right. That didn't happen because everybody went right into their cell.
It's a good idea.
And then
like,
you closed the
they're
door.
not kidding,
Yeah,
okay?
right.
Like, not kidding at all.
So it should be a clue to you.
If cops are the C students... prison guards the D students, okay? Look, somebody who wants a job, who doesn't want to work too hard, and, you know, doesn't mind cracking a few heads, making somebody fall upstairs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, the whole term lockdown should be a clue to you that this is not a good thing. Like when somebody is forcing you against your will. Now, I realize some people believed the claims about COVID-19 and were genuinely frightened about what their chances were, and so they may have been locking down voluntarily. But others were
That would
doing...
be self-quarantining.
As opposed to a lockdown, which is against your will, would you say?
Right. I mean, could you really lock yourself down? What's that?
Or forced quarantining would be.
Forced quarantining. So I like to use the term quarantine because this is the first time we've ever quarantined healthy people. And that's an interesting point about everything that's going on. And lockdown I like too because it has this aspect of force. If you want to shut down your business, then you can do that anytime.
Sure.
It doesn't require COVID to do it. If you want to self-quarantine, you can do that anytime. As a matter of fact, I've been doing it for about 10 years now. I really don't go out much. I like my life where it is, and everything's great.
So this is just absolutely ridiculous, but let's get into the story. Rebecca Clark reporting at thehill.com. The government should again impose strict coronavirus-related lockdowns for a month or longer across the U.S. in order to boost the economy, a top Federal Reserve official said Sunday.
I don't think this person knows what they're talking about.
No, but yet they are apparently the president of the Minneapolis Federal Reserve Bank.
And they think that locking down the economy is the key to saving the economy?
That's what Neil Kashkari
I'd like to hear what
said.
Neil has to say on this because I'm a little confused.
I think Neil is confused.
Yeah, Kashkari, who is the president.
Well, he didn't get to be the president of the Federal Reserve by being a dumbass.
I mean, he almost exactly did exactly that.
I don't think that's true.
So, according to the story here, quote, That's the only way we're really going to have a real robust economic recovery. Otherwise, we're going to have flare-ups, lockdowns, and a very halting recovery with many more job losses and many more bankruptcies for an extended period of time. Unfortunately, he told Face the Nation, he said that the nation needs to control the spread of the virus, which is increasing across much of the country, to get back on path to economic health. So destroy the economy, he says, in order to help the economy.
Okay, so at the I can understand this point of view above so many others. All right, so the half measures that were gone through here in this country up to this point, let's lock down. Well, they weren't locked down; they were half locked down. The essential workers, which include let's go ahead and be honest and call them disposable workers. Okay, fine. Disposable workers, grocery stores.
I say as one of said disposable workers.
Right. As you worked at a place that was considered essential. And
she still does.
Indeed. So there was a group of people that are allowed out. I would say that if you just, I can get one of 2 points. 1 point, hey, look, freedom's more important than whatever you're talking about. And here's the points on freedom. Let's go with freedom. The other point is that locking down is important and stopping the spread of this virus is important. I get that point. The crap that's been done in the middle is just half measures on either side, right? It's just pointless. So if you were to lock down for 14 days, and by lockdown I mean anybody who steps off of their property gets murdered, then you would have a real sort of lock. That's what this guy's talking about.
That's what he's talking about. He's talking about, and he's not the only one. Remember, I don't know if you guys were on the show, but a couple weeks ago,
the person who wants to keep farmers and healthcare workers at home.
Yeah, the Washington Post did an editorial piece about some so-called experts who are one of them was some Obama administration health goon, who's saying that it needs to be a total lockdown with 90+% of the population locked down, including farm workers and truck drivers. So basically, they want people to starve or start eating each other.
I don't think that. Okay, so first off, most Americans can make it 2 weeks without starving to death. They don't
just
think
because
they're
fat.
Well, yes, but you'd be surprised how long you can go without eating.
Yeah.
2 weeks without food.
They're talking about 2 months. They're talking about 2 months.
There's really no point in that.
Okay.
2 weeks without food, I believe, is the point at which people begin starving.
Now, I'm sorry. That's just what people say. It's just not true. There's all kinds of evidence surrounding fasting that says that it's not true. I mean, it's horse pucky if you believe people starve in 3 weeks. That's what I believed at one point, and it's absolute utter nonsense.
Well, if you thought people were out in the streets mad about things now,
oh, they're going to be mad. There's when you don't give fat people their milkshakes, they get mad.
They want a soda pop.
Yes, indeed.
And then another, and another.
Right. You can believe that. That's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
However, all I'm trying to say is that if you're going to advocate for lockdowns, don't advocate for half measures. Lock it down.
Do it China style, because that's what they're talking
about. Right. Weld the doors shut.
Weld them in, right? You're not actually saying that. You're not, just to be clear, you're not actually advocating for that. You're just saying that's what they're saying.
I will advocate for rational moves, whatever rational moves are. But what I'm saying is,
each individual person gets to decide what's rational for them.
I get that, and that's the freedom side of the equation. The other side of the only other point that makes any rational sense is a full lockdown. And I suppose I can say, if you go outside, if you're not within, X number of feet of somebody, or if you're outdoors and not within X number of feet with somebody, fine. If you've got a mask on and you're going somewhere to drive your combine like a farmer does, fine.
When you say rational to do a total lockdown, you mean you're a utilitarian viewpoint?
Has to do with reason. Okay.
I don't believe it's rational at all.
All right, you don't think there's reasons?
There's always a reason for
virus
tyranny.
with a 0.01% mortality rate or whatever it is. No, it's not rational.
It goes much lower than that if you start considering people below the age of 54.
I don't care if it's a 10%.
The question is,
I understand you don't.
Can a rational action be justified by irrational reasons? I would say that the fear motivating it by definition makes that course of action irrational.
So,
like fear is.
Okay, so fear tends to promote irrationality. However, if your reasons surround stopping a global pandemic, which has a death rate of about 0.01%, and the vast majority
so
of
1% of 0.01% you said?
Yeah, it's
one
really
out of
not
every
very high.
10,000 people.
It's 1/100%.
Okay. More coming up here in moments. 8:55, 450, free like freedom. We got more from this banker, Federal Reserve Bank in Minneapolis, who says that there needs to be a total lockdown in order for the economy to get better. 8:55, 450, free like freedom. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't work like that. If you want the economy to be good, freedom is the answer. There's more coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Another 83 tons in fake gold found in China. Crypto still much harder to counterfeit. Host Stefan Molyneux banned from YouTube. Receives $100,000 in crypto donations afterward. Reporters uncover $11 trillion in offshore government-sanctioned bank accounts. Bitcoin Cash still potentially private and unconfiscatable. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Do you want to work from home, get paid, and forward liberty all at the same time? Free Talk Live is looking for account executives and appointment setters. If you've got a phone, a computer, internet connectivity, initiative, and a belief in the non-aggression principle, you're qualified. Earn up to $85,000 a year full-time, $25,000 a year part-time. Set your own hours, work from home, spread freedom. Join our team and work with one of the biggest leaders in the liberty movement. Apply now at sales.freetalklive.com. Sales.freetalklive.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. Dial in toll free, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Just as the internet is a global network that connects local networks, Intercoin is a global currency platform that enables communities around the world to issue and manage their own currency to circulate among their local population. Intercoin enables fintech innovation on the local community level, leading to stronger communities, greater sustainability, less poverty, and more productivity. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space, and we think that's important here on Free Talk Live. So we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. Intercoin.org. Ian, Aria, and Mark in the studio tonight talking about the president of the Minneapolis Federal Reserve Bank, who actually said that there needs to be a much harsher lockdown in order to help the economy. And the longer version of what he is trying to say here is that he believes that if you lock down real hardcore for some amount of time, then you'll defeat the virus, and therefore everybody can just reopen and the economy will be able to recover without this sort of back and forth of these governors saying, okay, you can reopen. No, you need to lock down again. No, reopen. No, lock down again, which is what's kind of been going on out there to some extent.
So I get what he's saying. It's like, okay, we need to make this sacrifice now, and then it'll be done. Then we can get back to normal, which is exactly what we said about why we shouldn't lock down in the first place. Just let this virus run its course, and then we can get back to normal. But instead, they were like, no, we have to drag this out as long as possible.
Well, because somebody's grandmother might die, Aria.
No, it's so that Joe Biden can get elected. Let's be freaking serious here.
Really?
Everybody in the media is angry that Orange Man do bad, and they just cannot. They're unglued.
I don't believe anyone actually believes that Biden is going to win this election.
Well, I think a lot of people believe it.
Some people want that to be the case.
No, I think that a lot of people believe it. I think about half of the people believe it. I
doubt that anyone genuinely believes that Joe Biden has a chance here.
Okay.
Did you hear that the New York Times is advocating that they get rid of the debates?
Well, they're going to the debates are going to be murder.
Because the more that Joe Biden
it's going to look like elder abuse.
the less chance he has of winning.
That's right. So they don't want debates anymore.
It's like nurses at the nursing home gave two of their worst clients clubs
LSD
and let them go at each other.
No, if they had LSD, it would actually probably be a pretty good result.
So I have to mention this regarding this Federal Reserve guy's points.
Okay.
Okay. So first, I say it's rational. It's the second most rational choice is a full lockdown. Most rational choice.
That's insane. That's an insane choice. That is something that somebody who's a total statist would say. Are you a Chinese communist? Because that's what they would say.
The second, the most rational choice
rational.
is the total freedom thing. Let people choose how they're going to react.
Rational.
I would.
Rational.
Okay, look.
That's a hard one to say.
I'd like to not get arrested when I visit the Great Wall, okay? You stop.
You're never going back there. You got your shot at Hong Kong earlier this year. You're now on the list.
I probably am. So I got pictures with Hong Kong protesters. I bet I'm not in great shape. I have here in front of me one of my favorite lists. This is the list of weekly deaths in America.
But do you have a graph, Mark?
I do. I have a graph. And it goes back to 2017, January of 2017. So 3 years, 19,
I mean, we
18,
get it.
17.
We get it. There aren't a lot of people dying from this, right? So how in the world would a full lockdown be even in the realm of possibility for what is considered rational?
I would presume you have not looked at an actual list of deaths in the United States if you're proposing a full lockdown. That's what I'm saying. Look, all I'm doing is comparing.
That's the course of action you're describing as rational, though.
No, I'm not.
You did. You said it was the second most rational thing.
Second most rational. Most rational on a list does not mean rational, okay?
Stop calling it rational.
The least rational choice is what we did, which is half measures.
Okay.
Either you fully lock down, you don't lock down, but don't do half measures. That's the point I'm trying to make by saying
But you don't actually support a full lockdown.
No.
Okay, thank
But
goodness.
if we were going to do murders,
trying to be clear.
I'd start with your dumb ass.
Oh, yeah?
All right. So, on my list here, there was, for whatever reason, the flu season in the January of 2018 was kind of bad. And the worst week, had 67,000 deaths. If you presume that 67,000 deaths, it was not worth getting upset over, because we didn't. Does anyone remember January of 2018? I don't.
I don't get upset about deaths of people I don't know.
I understand that.
And who have not impacted my life.
But the answer to the question is still, no one really got upset about deaths in January 2019, right?
About the number of deaths,
2018,
sure. But the people who lost their grandmothers, their cousins, or
Right.
whatever, they very much got upset.
Absolutely. It's terrible to lose people, and we have no idea why these people died, because this isn't what this list is about. For 5 weeks in basically April of this year, the number of deaths went higher than that point in January 2018. So if January 2018 wasn't worth getting worried about, then most of May, all of June, and all of July of 2020 is not worth getting worried about.
But now they're trying to act like we need to lock down again and things need to get harsher. In fact, he says, quote, this is the Federal Reserve guy from Minneapolis. He says, I mean, if we were to lock down really hard, I know I hate to even suggest it, people will be frustrated by it, but if we were to lock down hard...
Frustrated, they would riot, and they'd go after people wearing suits like you, dude.
For a month or 6 weeks, we could get the case count down so that our testing and our...
A month?
Yep.
He wants a month
or 6 weeks, month and a half.
6 weeks of hardcore shutdown.
That's what he's saying. He's
right. It would stop the spread of the virus.
Would it, though?
Probably.
Because
according to what we know at this point, and which is not too darn much about this novel virus, according to what we know and what is said, probably.
But wouldn't it just come back later?
But the problem is that you've got the wrong species to try to get all 8 billion of them to do the same thing at the same time. It just doesn't work. We're not that kind of primate. There isn't that kind of primate.
So he goes on, he says, we could get the case count down, so our testing and our contact tracing was actually enough to control it the way that it's happening in the Northeast right now. They had a rocky start, but they're doing a pretty good job right now, he says. Is he referring to the Northeast of the United States? I'm guessing he is. He warned the virus will spread throughout the country with flare-ups and local lockdowns, quote, for the next year or two, unquote, causing more businesses to fail without such measures.
It's only half true. The truth is that it's going to continue forever. The COVID-19 is not just going to vanish from history.
Yeah, it'll be COVID-20 eventually.
Well, I love how we call it COVID-19 as though it just appeared in 2019. No,
it's called COVID-19 because it's a 19th identified strain.
No, it's called COVID-19 because it appeared in 2019.
That's incorrect, Mark.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
All right, which one of them's right? Toll-free number 855-450, free like freedom. He says, quote, we're going to see many, many more business bankruptcies, small businesses, big businesses, and that's going to take a lot of time to recover from, to build those businesses, rebuild those businesses, and then to bring workers back in and re-engage them in the workforce. That's going to be a much slower recovery for all of us, he said. And he is right. There are going to be a lot of businesses who are going to go under because the government money is going to run out. We were just talking about this last night at the end of the show with the restaurants who have run out of money at this point with the PPP loans, so-called loans, that they're now, they're
just shutting the doors.
People aren't running back into these places. They only have a very limited number of customers. They have a limited number of table space. So we're just scratching the surface, I think, on some of the fallout from the earlier lockdowns. More coming up.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
DIVI's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. DIVI's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DIVIproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DIVIproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DIVIproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free. You can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Here in the studio with you tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Mark.
We're talking about the insanity of the idea that you can make the economy better by destroying the economy. At least that's what a Federal Reserve chairman would want you to believe from the Minnesota Federal Reserve? Oh, sorry, Minneapolis Federal Reserve.
Well, this certainly isn't the first time we've heard something like this. I believe it was George W. Bush who said we have to abandon free market principles to save the free market.
That's right, he did say that.
I mean, that's essentially what this guy's saying. We have to destroy the economy to save the economy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We're going to continue, and of course, you're welcome to share your thoughts with us. The toll-free number, 855-450, free like freedom. We also have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And from mid-March to mid-July of this year, the new easy-to-use cryptocurrency that we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live, DIVI, increased in value by over 10 times. Now, of course, nothing is stopping DIVI from continuing to go up in value, and that is certainly their goal. DIVI's price jumped in that 10x in correlation with their beta wallet release, which is a private beta. We haven't even seen it yet.
No.
So will Divi go up further when the wallet is actually available to everybody? Well, I don't know. But at Free Talk Live, we're happy with our decision to hook up with Divi a year ago. And you can go to diviproject.org and earn Divi by starting a masternode or even staking Divi. They've got a lottery for people who stake the coin as well. Opportunities knocked every day here on Free Talk Live since last September. Will you answer diviproject.org? And I believe, Mark, you've got an after show that's going into tonight's podcast.
The first episode of Crypto Talk Live.
Oh, really?
Is in the can last night and is getting attached to tonight's show. It is already on the SoundCloud, but it hasn't had a lot.
What's SoundCloud?
Crypto. If you go to cryptotalklive.com.
Oh, okay.
And you can find
you got your own website.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Well, it's a SoundCloud page.
Oh, okay.
Why didn't you create it like Crypto Talk Live with MarkEdge.com? That would have been great.
No, she's being facetious. He doesn't get the joke. It's a really obscure joke. It's referencing the Declare Your Independence show with Ernie Hancock.
Yes.
He actually has a URL, which is the longest URL I've ever come across. It is Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock, I think, .com. I believe that is what it is. A very, very long URL. So
I see.
That's the joke. And yeah, bad idea to have long URLs. Shorter, usually better. So cryptotalklive.com. That's actually pretty good, Mark.
And it's in it, the guys, the two guys, it's the two guys from Divi. We're getting together and talking to lots of crypto people. This first one,
they're pretty libertarian guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This first one was basically, my intention was to just sort of test things out and see how everything went, see how everybody flowed together. This isn't the kind of thing you can replicate or teach or anything like that.
Yeah, you just have to try it.
Yeah, so I had them on, and they, interestingly, don't think it had anything to do with the wallet that they released, the beta or the beta wallet.
You mean the 10x increase this year?
Yeah, the 10x increase. They think it has to do with many of other innovations that have to do with Divi.
Well, that's the thing with the market. You never really know.
You don't know. No, you don't know.
Somebody asked me that today. I was actually out at a restaurant, a local Jamaican place here in town that I've been trying to pitch on cryptocurrency, and I showed her the price increase of Bitcoin over the last month, which has been like a 30% increase. No joke.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah, and the other coins out there that are competitors with Bitcoin, most of them have also gone up significantly. So, and of course, one of her questions was, well, why do you think the price went up? I'm like, I don't know. It's a global marketplace. There's trades that are happening all the time.
I can speculate.
But if I had to speculate, I'd say that the fact that the federal government is printing, trillions of dollars, that could be a factor in why
they increased the money supply by 20% this year. So it's no surprise that cryptocurrency and gold are on their way to being up 20%.
More than 20%.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the United States government has taken the world reserve currency and inflated it, meaning printed more of it. And on top of that, the stock market with the whole COVID thing, not doing as good as it did previously. So people with money must put their money somewhere. They can choose to put it in sort of traditional investments, stocks, bonds, these kinds of things.
I mean, which are probably good ideas as well.
It's not I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just talking about what an investor might think about doing. They could put it in real estate, but the government's basically made real estate the most miserable of investments possible, with all of its taxation out there on whatever different levels. So,
not to mention you got to deal with tenants. That can be
and
fine,
local governments
and
everything.
Yeah.
So real estate ain't what she used to be as far as an investment goes. You could put it in cash, but like I said, the government just devalued.
That's not an investment.
Right. It is if you happen to be able to move into the right investment at the right time.
Okay, but buying cash is not an investment. If you're saying you need to use cash to buy other investments, well, then it's a tool for that, but it's not itself an investment. It is a depreciating asset.
Okay.
At best.
So it depends on your definition of what an investment is. People who
I'm not
sell
an investment advisor.
Well, then you should shut up about what an investment is.
But I know what an investment is. It's where you take a risk.
Yep.
And you put some sort of value or money into a thing with the hopes that you're going to get a return on the investment later on down the line. That's what an investment is.
Okay.
You don't get a return on putting value into dollars because the value of the dollar goes down over time always.
Sometimes you do. And what if you're moving out of rubles and rubles are going down against the U.S. dollar, which is going up?
If you're comparing things that are going down, then what you're seeing is that the U.S. dollar doesn't go down as fast as some of the other coins or the other currencies, fiat monies in the world. So you're actually comparing a race to the bottom. So you can't say the U.S. dollar is going up. You can only say it is not going down as quickly as the ruble. When compared directly to one another, it can appear as though the U.S. dollar is going up in comparison, but it just simply means it's going down at a slower rate. That's all that means.
I will agree with you that the U.S. dollar is a bad investment generally, but there are many people who have made a lot of money by keeping their powder dry, as they say, which means being highly liquid at any given point and being able to get into the market at the right time, whatever the market might be.
You're using it as a tool in that case.
Fine.
It's not an investment.
Are we really seriously quibbling about the difference between the term tool and investment?
Yes.
Fine. You have heard the term investment tool before, right? Okay, so
you look
going
like a tool
on.
to me too, by the way.
Thank God. All right. So you could people don't want to be in cash for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's a bad place
but
to be.
But I have to be in
specifically
cash
right now.
because I run some Bitcoin vending machines on behalf of the
Because you do a
church.
business and businesses have to have
It's not
cash.
a business. It's an outreach project for the Shire Free Church. But you can
Churches have business.
Okay. I don't like the term business because when you're talking about legal land,
I'm really
business has a very
delighted to
specific
play
meaning.
the game here where I can't finish the paragraph because Ian doesn't like the terms.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you label a thing that I'm involved in as something that I don't
What
think
about
that
an
it is.
investment? I didn't get to label that either.
Because you
How
weren't
many
talking
more
about
things?
one.
What?
Why don't you just get it right for once, and then we won't have to quibble about this?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's entitled to your opinion, which is always correct.
I didn't say that.
No, well, no, you just act like it.
How many people
all the
out there
time.
actually think cash is an investment? I'd love to hear about that. I hope it's zero.
I don't even want to have that conversation.
I mean,
Thank
there
God.
may be some
there
may be some non-Americans who, for them, it's considered an investment. But it's, as you said,
just
it's
stops
because
the
it's just
bleeding.
not racing to the bottom as quickly.
Right. If you're in Venezuela, your Venezuelan Bolivar Soberano is just on a free fall
Garbage.
down to
It's a garbage
nothing.
investment.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And so if you have those things and you have the ability to change them into dollars, you should do it.
All I wanted
because
to say
you will
was
not lose as fast.
Moneyed investors have to put their money somewhere, and the only place that they can put it right now is gold and Bitcoin because everything else sucks. That's why everything's that's
I mean, if you're
up.
going to give advice, and that's not necessarily
It's not
advice, but
That's
a
that's
suggestion.
My,
That's a pretty good suggestion.
My
That's what you would
assessment
do.
of the market at this time. No, it's not.
Oh, okay. That's what I would do. I would put money into
not
gold and
advice.
Bitcoin. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have two convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. Survivalspeech.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You're invited here. If you want to join us, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Are you ready for a total lockdown for 6 weeks? That's what this Federal Reserve goon from Minneapolis is saying that he wants to see happen. And he thinks it's going to help the economy to shut everything down and force everyone to stay home for several weeks at a time.
Up to 6 weeks, he says.
That's what he's saying. And he's not the only one. He's part of a choir. There's a large choir of people who are shouting for more lockdowns, a more serious lockdown. Of course, while we're talking about this, New York is apparently putting checkpoints into place. So we can talk about that later if we get the chance. But if you want to jump into the conversation, you're welcome to join us. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. It's Ian, Aria, and Mark. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. We'll start things out with Steve. He's calling from Fort Smith, Arkansas, listening on, I think KPFW. Go ahead, Steve.
How are we doing today?
Welcome, sir.
I think I called Friday. And I'm not sure which hosts were there, but I was talking about I had tested positive that Tuesday for COVID, and my doctor absolutely refused to even talk to me about hydroxychloroquine. Just wasn't an option. But a friend of mine that I went to college with was able to prescribe it to me. He's a physician's assistant. His physician allowed him to prescribe it to me. And I started it on Wednesday. Wednesday evening after the first dose, I could really tell a difference with it started breaking up the congestion in my chest. But I was coughing and hacking so hard and violently that I was having a hard time breathing. So decided that I should probably go to the ER just to get checked out. And they did. all kinds of tests and x-rays and everything, and determined that it was just, COVID related issue. It wasn't a pneumonia or wasn't anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home Thursday morning very early. And by the time I woke up Thursday afternoon, I was almost done coughing. And on Friday, I felt so good that I went and played 9 holes of golf. And
how many doses of the hydrochloroquine did you take?
Okay, so the way the dosage is, they're 200 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day you take 2 pills in the morning and 2 pills in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So 800 milligrams. And then the next day it's just one pill in the morning, 1 pill in the evening for 6 days. So I had taken, 800, 1,200 milligrams.
And you were already
total.
feeling pretty good.
And I was already feeling just way better, able to get out and about. And of course,
if you don't mind my asking, what is your age?
42.
Okay, so chances are you're going to beat this thing pretty quickly anyway.
Well, more than likely, but I do have high blood pressure. I'm diabetic.
Mm.
I go about 290. I'm 6'2", 290.
Gotcha.
Big man.
So
Yep.
Not the picture of health, but I played football in college and.
It happens. You're used to eating those big meals as an athlete, and
man, I'm from Arkansas. We eat barbecue and
indeed,
and fried chicken and
it's good too.
Stuff. But anyway, my point is Arkansas just recently. Now, my wife and daughter tested positive Tuesday, and they seem to be doing okay. My wife's had a little bit of, just some, no more than if she had the flu or a cold or something. To be honest. Not uncommon for her to get headaches certain times of the month, and she's had a headache with it. But nothing too bad for them. But Arkansas decided that they were going to ban the use of hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID.
Mm.
So now in Arkansas, unless it's prescribed for malaria or something like that, you can't even get it.
Wow.
And that's what bothers me is that now it's not even an option.
No, wait a minute. This was within the last week because you just got some last week, so they've banned it since then?
Yeah, they banned it the day my wife and daughter tested positive on Tuesday.
Wow.
Or on Monday, I'm sorry.
That's some of the craziest stuff. I heard that the King Sununu here in New Hampshire also issued an executive order early on. It was apparently one of the first 5 executive orders that he issued that hydroxychloroquine could not be prescribed.
Right, and it's crazy because, granted, it's probably not for everyone, but...
Well, that's why they say on every medical commercial, on every prescription drug commercial, to ask your doctor, right? Like such and such drug may not be right for you. You should talk to your doctor.
To take that option off the table, and I believe, probably much like you guys do, that it's all about money. That prescription with my insurance was $6.
Amazing. That's why they don't want you to do it because they're all
they don't want a $6 fee.
Yeah, they're all connected with the mega corporations who are making prescription medications, and they want to give them the business for this, whatever vaccines they cook up.
Right. It was $16 for the vitamin D, the zinc, and the prescription. So for $16, 3 days later, I'm golfing when I was in the ER. So
Unbelievable.
I'm not a rocket scientist, and I'm not a economics person.
Nope.
I just run a car dealership.
Right. It's it's an anecdotal response, but hey, when you find something that works for you, you want to share it with people, and I think that's completely legitimate. And a lot of people have said similar stuff about this medication.
Well, good deal, guys.
Steve, thanks for your story tonight, man. Definitely appreciate the update on that. Crazy news that they have now banned the prescribing of hydrochloroquine in the state of Arkansas. I wonder how many states also have followed suit on that.
I don't know if it's 3 or 4 weeks since I went to the doctor. But I went to the doctor for my annual physical, and I asked, hey, on that blood test, did you give me a COVID test? I mean, because they just had my blood, right, for all kinds of things. And he's like, no, they're so inaccurate, it's not even worth giving.
Wow.
So,
so what's the truth?
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, people are saying, well, I hope these people are listening to the experts. Which experts?
They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, they all know what they're talking about, but they have conflicting opinions. And so I wouldn't what experts are we talking about here?
Well, the better safe than sorry is what a lot of people think, and so they're gonna.
Then let's all move into the prison cells. There's plenty of them. I mean, let's ban motorcycles. Everybody's eating vegan from here on out.
Right. Get rid of fatty foods.
Yep.
Get rid of
liquor,
sugary foods.
Cigarettes. I mean, everybody's living till 100, whether you like it or not.
Let's go to Nowhere Man in Springfield, Illinois. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Aria, and Mark. Go ahead, Nowhere Man.
Yes. How are we doing tonight?
Excellent. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I love Mr. Nobody.
Oh, we do too.
He's not on tonight.
No, he'll be back.
But no, I don't want to get politically incorrect or correct. I'm an independent, but I just want to know your opinion. They've showed that George Floyd, which was a murder. Mm-hmm. It was outright murder. They've showed that 100 times on television. Why won't we get this on the national news? This gang violence going on every weekend.
Now, are you referring to the Blue Light Gang?
Which gang are we referring to?
I'm talking about the street gangs in Chicago, St. Louis, the big cities, killing each other. Little boy.
Now, why are they killing each other?
Well, that's why I called you. What's your take on it?
Usually it has to do with drug territory in a lot of cases, from what I understand. You typically look at gang violence, and it has to do with the fact that drugs are prohibited. And so, therefore, when you prohibit drugs, which we should have learned this back in alcohol prohibition, which was the first prohibition, but they didn't learn it. So now they're prohibited. Well, I'm trying to answer your question, Nowhere Man. So you asked for an answer. I'm going to keep going for just a moment, okay? So they prohibit drugs, and so then since the government drove the sale of drugs underground, because that's what happens when you prohibit something, it goes underground. Therefore, criminal gangs, will then be the business people who are the ones handling the drugs and selling the drugs and making the drugs and so on. And it turns out that these people settle their differences with bullets and knives and violence on the streets. Sometimes innocent people get caught in the crossfire, or family members get kidnapped and murdered.
Just like what happened in the 20s.
Exactly like that, yeah. So that's why you've got gang violence in these places. It's because drugs are illegal. So if we were to legalize drugs and go ahead and legalize gambling and prostitution, legalize guns while we're at it, if we can
legalize everything,
legalize anything that's a victimless, crime of prohibition, that there's no actual harmed party that could make a complaint. You legalize all those things, and then the gangs will basically have nothing that they can make money off of. That's not to say they will go away completely, because some people are going to want to join a gang just so they can feel they belong to something. But Nowhere Man, I'll let you respond to that coming up here in a moment. 855-450, free like freedom. Hour number 2 is on the way, and you are invited to take control of the airwaves. Coming up, another bizarre money story that Aria is going to share with us about the money supply unlocking inflation. I don't know what that means. We'll find out.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If they don't take action, he might. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump reportedly considering taking executive action to stop evictions and provide unemployment relief as lawmakers still haven't reached a deal on another coronavirus relief package.
They've set an interim deadline of Friday of trying to get an agreement and then get this into legislative form sometime next week. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is frustrated by the glacial pace.
While Americans are struggling, the Democratic leaders have moved about 1 inch in 8 days.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows offered a plan to extend unemployment benefits through mid-December. However, people would only get $400 a week rather than $600 a week. That aid expired in July.
Fox's Chad Pergram, the president holding a wide-ranging news conference last hour. He was asked about the explosion yesterday in Beirut that he had characterized as a bomb. He seemed to backpedal a bit, telling reporters you can't say for sure right now what happened. Some think it was an attack and some don't. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said he believes it was an accident. The blast killed at least 135 people and injured 5,000. Earlier this afternoon, the president again blasted the idea of mail-in voting.
Absentee voting, great. But this mail-in voting where they mail indiscriminately millions and millions of ballots to people, you're never going to know who won the election. You can't have that.
The Trump campaign has sued the state of Nevada over its plan to send out mail-in ballots for the November election. 3 Florida teenagers running from police while carrying a semi-automatic gun in a backpack jumped a wall into President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. A Palm Beach police spokesman says the 3 15-year-olds were arrested shortly after they entered the grounds last Friday. He says they had no idea where they were. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has been a gut punch to American business. And if you're going to succeed, you need every possible advantage. That's why savvy companies like Moink run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. With NetSuite, Moink has visibility and control over their financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need, all in one place. So they can deliver ethically raised, delicious meat to homes all across the country. Here's Moink founder, Lucinda Cramsey.
Feeding America is not a job I take lightly. I need to know how my numbers translate to food on folks' tables. So I ain't got no time for a math mistake. NetSuite is my single source of truth. Financials, inventory, and supply chain, all in real time. Americans depend on Moink to keep their families fed, so I depend on NetSuite.
NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook called 7 Actions Businesses Need to Take Now. Receive your free playbook and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox.
One of the areas that was a COVID-19 hotspot at the start of the pandemic in the U.S. taking new steps to keep the number of cases down.
New York City cracking down to enforce state pandemic travel restrictions.
We will have checkpoints at key entry points to the city.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio on the stepped-up action at places like Penn Station, bridges, and tunnels. Non-essential workers arriving from coronavirus hotspots. Currently 34 states and Puerto Rico now subject to a 14-day mandatory quarantine or the threat of a hefty fine.
Under certain circumstances, the fines can be as high as $10,000.
Travelers could get calls, texts, and visits during the quarantine period. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Legendary New York journalist Pete Hamill has died. He was a columnist for the New York Daily News, New York Post, Newsday, The Village Voice, New York Magazine, and Esquire. He wrote screenplays, several novels, and works of nonfiction, including a best-selling memoir. Hamill died of kidney and heart failure at a Brooklyn hospital. He was 85. The UN Secretary General warns of a generational catastrophe as the coronavirus outbreak impacts students around the world.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres saying more than 1 billion students worldwide have had their educations disrupted by the coronavirus outbreak.
The COVID-19 pandemic has led to the largest disruption of education ever.
Guterres praising efforts by teachers, parents and carers to lessen the impact of school closures, but he says many students remain out of reach.
Now, we face a generational catastrophe that would waste untold human potential.
The Secretary-General urging world leaders to prioritise the reopening of schools once local outbreaks are brought under control. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Wall Street, the Dow at 373, the Nasdaq plus 57. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
A hot new murder craze sweeps Chicago. Things that shouldn't be said in modern society are said 1,400 times at the RNC, and a brave woman enters a restaurant without first looking it up online. This is the Onion Week in Review. The World Wildlife Fund quickly backtracked Thursday from a recently released press statement saying panda ears are, quote, absolutely delicious. Organization officials noted that while panda ears do taste amazing braised, steamed, fried, or cooked in an omelet, they should not have announced it publicly, nor should they have ever eaten any part of a cheetah, giraffe, or Bengal tiger, no matter how good they may be. According to company sources, the Netflix board of directors held a tense series of meetings earlier this morning to decide whether the fantasy comedy Michael is stream-worthy. The board reportedly sat through its mandatory 2 back-to-back screenings of the 1996 film starring John Travolta as an angel visiting Earth, all while passionately arguing over the film's story, acting, and level of enjoyment upon subsequent viewings to determine if the movie should be available through its instant viewing program.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. You can call into one of those. You'll sound almost like you're sitting here with us in the studio. It's in that studio, Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
And we're going to go into your phone calls and thoughts. And coming up, Aria, you've got a story because we started the show out tonight with just a wild claim from a Federal Reserve chairman in Minneapolis, Neil Kashkari, that says that he thinks that there needs to be a total lockdown for as much as 6 weeks, and then that'll help the economy in the long run.
Yeah, the one I have is equally stupid. Is from a former Treasury official and current economist. He doesn't seem to even know what inflation is. So,
well, if he doesn't know, he's probably not being honest about what it actually is. We'll get into that story.
He has to know, right?
Coming up here in moments.
I mean, he knows what it really is, and he knows what the Fed and the Treasury tells people that it is.
Right. Yeah. The difference between price inflation and monetary inflation.
Right. So we're going to go into your phone calls and thoughts, though. You can bring up anything you want. In fact, this person claims they're calling from Denmark, where it's probably tomorrow already. Hello, Adrian. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Adrian.
Yeah. I'm from the electric realm. I'm electric, Adrian M. Ford, and you're electric, Ian P. Freeman, and you're electric, Mark Edge. We don't have your middle initial yet.
What does that mean,
Aria?
the electric realm?
Yeah, the electric realm? Well, we're electric people. We're all fully electric now.
Tell me about
that.
that.
All
What does
the
that
three
mean?
of you in on the spark. Are you ready for that?
Tell me what does that mean?
I've known you, Ian, for 81 million years. Did you know that?
No, we really go far back, huh?
Everybody in the electric realm, get a cup of Ian P. Freeman.
It's Ian B. Freeman, but
crispy.
close enough. It's Ian B. Freeman, but close enough.
You went 81 million years without learning his middle name?
What's that?
You went 81 million years without learning his middle initial?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
we forgot. I'm the star man, don't you remember?
No, I don't. Apparently your memory is...
Yeah, it's okay. We'll get you up to speed.
Apparently your memory is way better than mine is. So how did you and I meet? Was it like back when the universe exploded for the first time?
Oh, no.
What about a lot longer than that?
Hey, have you guys ever seen Casablanca?
I sadly have
That
not.
stinker? It's a no, seriously. Yes.
Is this guy for real?
Yeah.
Quite
for real on drugs.
Yeah, what are you on, man?
You know who that was laughing? That was Mark.
What are you on tonight? Like, you are far out.
Well, I'm fully electric. See, electricity was out of phase. Yeah.
That doesn't explain anything.
This dude is tweaked, man.
No, it doesn't explain anything. No, it's great. Being in the electric realm is great because the jokes are great.
What
You'll
is it?
love it?
What does it mean to be in the electric realm?
Well, your electric people love you, and they give you charges. Well, they also live your lives for you. No, they don't live your lives for you. They live their own lives, and then sometimes they build your life for you.
Okay, well, that doesn't mean much to me. So, like, how can you help my listener understand what the electric realm is? How do you get into it?
There's also the energy realm.
How do you get into it? Is it a large dose of LSD?
Yes.
It is.
Like me and Steve Jobs and Tim Cook? Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the call tonight.
We love that.
All right, man. By the way,
we love it too.
Related story, the LSD chemist William Leonard Pickard is going to be released from prison, which is pretty good news. But by the way, kids, if you're going to do drugs, make sure you do them responsibly and don't go too far like that guy just did. I don't know seriously what his deal is, but wow. Clyde, let's see here. According to a source close to Leonard Pickard, Clyde Apperson's request to be released to home confinement prior to his October 11th, 2028 release date has been approved, and he's currently at a pre-release or halfway house pending full release. This story is about the guy who was one of the two guys who was manufacturing LSD in an underground retired missile silo back in the day. I don't know if you ever heard about this story. It's pretty far out. There's a story on Vice News from like 10 or 11 years ago that told this story. It's about this stripper who meets this guy, I guess at like the club. I forget exactly how they met, but and then
Isn't that how you meet strippers?
She becomes his boyfriend or his girlfriend, and she moves into this underground missile silo where they're manufacturing LSD. Is just constantly getting high all the time, and then the DEA moves in and turns everybody against one another, and it just turns into a real cluster F of a situation. It's been a decade since I've seen the video.
Well, I mean, they were making LSD in an abandoned missile silo. It was never not a cluster F situation.
It was amazing.
The problem with drugs isn't the manufacturing of them. It's trying to find somebody to sell them to that isn't going to roll on you.
Yeah, well, the decision comes after Pickard spent 20 years in prison for conspiracy to manufacture, distribute, and dispense LSD. He and his partner, Clyde Apperson, were arrested in the year 2000 while moving what was alleged to be their LSD laboratory across Kansas, and they were convicted in 2003. Pickard was given 2 life sentences, and Apperson sentenced to 30 years of imprisonment without the possibility of parole. A petition for, quote, request...
For selling drugs that in all likelihood killed no one?
That's right.
Yeah.
Quote, request for modifying the conditions or terms of supervision with consent of the offender was filed in the U.S. District Court in Kansas on behalf of Mr. Apperson. He was arrested alongside and convicted alongside of Mr. Pickard. The petition would allow him to be released from prison to home confinement in advance of 2028. And it was stated that he's proposing to release to the District of Oregon to reside with his sister. So the good news is they are letting these guys out, it sounds like, or they are already out. At his sentencing, DEA Special Agent in Charge William Renton said, quote, the proof of the significance of these prosecutions and convictions lies in the fact that the LSD availability in the United States was reduced by 95% in the 2 years following their arrest.
That is not a good thing.
Well,
the good news is after that, the Silk Road came out and dramatically increased the availability
that's
of
a good
LSD.
thing.
So, I mean, what law enforcement against prohibition, what do they call it? Law enforcement action
partnership. They renamed
now. What they would say to this is that when you arrest a drug dealer, you create a job opportunity. As opposed to arresting a car thief or because, I mean, plenty of cars, when you arrest car thieves, car thievery goes down.
That's right.
When you arrest, arsonists, arsons go down. When you arrest mass murderer, mass murders go down. But I guess serial murder. When, in this case, apparently they were manufacturing a great deal, so it took a while for the market to respond. But note, ladies and gentlemen, he said for 2 years. And then after that, somebody came along, and presumably there is somebody right now manufacturing this amount of LSD right here in the U.S. of A. And somehow life goes on.
It's a great point. Yeah, he did say for 2 years, and he said that 8 years after he went to the guy was, or he said that 5 years after the guy was put in prison.
Right.
So, Pickard is, according to this story, he's got a bunch of medical conditions. He's 74 years old. So, I mean, he's, you're in jail. They're not taking the best care of you, number one. But number two, most men don't make it past that, that late.
Yeah, I
anyway.
tend to think that you can choose how you're going. I mean, people in prison have all the choices that the rest of us do. You can eat better, you can exercise, you can do the things that will make you live longer. The chances that...
How do you eat better in prison? You choose not to eat everything they give you because usually you get what they give you.
You could choose, there's certain special diets.
There are, yeah.
And you can
if you have a certain religion, you can say, don't give me any, I'm a Muslim, don't give me any pork or whatever.
Right. You could choose to go vegan. You could choose a variety of things.
Do they do vegan now in prisons?
I'll bet they do.
Well, anyway, he's got all kinds of problems with his body, and of course there's the COVID-19 thing, and then they say he's had a positive role writing about the fentanyl epidemic. The court found that a reduction in sentence is consistent with the sentencing factors, and they go on to state that Picard's offenses were serious, but having spent 2 decades in prison, he's been seriously punished. The government correctly points out that he has a prior drug convictions, but that doesn't change his argument that the First Step Act's change to sentences for drug crimes would substantially have changed the treatment of his prior offenses. So remember the First Step Act? That was the thing that Trump got. I think that was what Trump, the little baby step thing on sentencing reform that Trump signed. So they're citing that in their request to let this guy out. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to some economics coming up here in a moment, but I had to bring that story up since that caller
was on LSD.
I don't know what he was on. I don't think that was it, but who knows? It's Free Talk Live.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DIVIproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DIVIproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DIVIproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Free Talk Live.
Why would they go around bombing people around the world? Doesn't that make us less safe?
Oh, you know what? I guess some of these people got it coming. It's a good day to be dead if you're a terrorist search.
How many of the people that the U.S. military has killed in the last decade have been terrorists?
A whole bunch of them. You know
what percentage?
You sound like some liberal church.
What percentage?
A lot of people.
I'm not a liberal, sir. Liberals support war, from what I can tell.
Take a look. Obama looked
at war when we need it. We have justifiable war. You know, it's people like you. Triumph when good men do nothing, you jerk.
Wait a second, Chuck.
I'm the jerk. I'm not bombing anyone.
You can feel however you feel about me, but Smedley Butler, the 2-time Medal of Honor winning Marine, felt the same way.
Well, you know what? Because they're headed the right way. You know what? We should have went after China. We should have chased those tricoms across that river, and we should have bombed them. We should have nuked them. We should have...
You are horrible.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. So, unfortunately, Mark, you won't be getting on an airplane tomorrow morning to go to Dallas, Texas. Unless you are still planning on getting on the airplane, there's nothing to do.
Flight's been canceled.
Oh, they even canceled the flight. The entirety of Mobilize 2020, which we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live, has been canceled. Now, it wasn't Young Americans for Liberty who decided to do this. That is to say, to cancel their own event. It was apparently the mayor of Dallas who put whatever pressure on, I presume, the hotel that they were. I don't know which hotel they were going to have this in. Mark, do you happen to know?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Whoever it was obviously pressured by the city gang in Dallas, and so they canceled the event like less than a week before it was going to happen. I think we got notice of this on Monday.
Yeah,
I think it was actually Monday after the show we got notice of it. But the mayor of Dallas did this. Brandon Borka, who is the director of strategic partnerships at Young Americans for Liberty, asks, quote, "Why are violent protests being allowed to happen, but peaceful Young Americans for Liberty events are being shut down?" You can learn more over at yaliberty.org. That's Young Americans for Liberty, yaliberty.org. So, bummer.
They are doing some things, but they're doing down. So,
like what? Throwing a party in someone's house?
They mentioned that they're doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My big concern what was going on for me. So.
Yeah, so sorry about that. If you were planning on going to that event, Mark, you were certainly planning on attending that.
I certainly was.
You were supposed to be broadcasting from the event.
It's a year for cancellations here in 2020.
Yeah, it's just an awful, awful year. Yeah. I mean, it is probably the worst year in my lifetime as far as, like, there's nothing fun. I mean, with the exception of Fork Fest and the Porcupine Freedom Festival over this summer, which was great. It was fantastic.
It was.
There's not much else out there. I hear Jackalope is happening, which is a festival in Arizona, although, it's sort of out in the middle of nowhere, so it's a bit difficult to get to that one from what I understand. What else is going on? Is there anything else that's exciting happening in your area? The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE if you want to join us here on Free Talk Live. Let's talk to Larry. He's in Indiana. Larry, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
I was going to talk about myself being cut off from a club that I've belonged to for almost 40 years.
Really? What kind of club?
The Concerned Clergy here in Indianapolis. Now, I've belonged to them for 40 years almost, and they don't like the attitude I'm taking toward this coronavirus, and they also don't like the attitude I'm taking toward what's going on in our downtown area, where they're holding up criminals who have shot at police and think that the criminal's just supposed to walk away from that situation without being killed. So They have actually excommunicated me. I feel that way anyway.
So this is a group of clergy, a ministers group, basically?
Yeah, ministers group. I used to be their sergeant of arms and everything.
So you've had a large level of involvement in this particular group. And
political too. They're political too. You know, I'm a political activist, and our city council now, they can't have anybody attend their meetings because of COVID. So you can't come into their meetings
right.
anymore.
You can't complain unless you want to go on their little Zoom thing that they have, and then,
I don't go for that.
Yeah, and then you can't be seen. You can't be in their actual room. You can't show a large number of supporters. You can't pack City Hall like sometimes it's happened here in Keene, New Hampshire, where we've literally had 200 people pack a very small room to the point where they had to actually restrict the number of people that could even come up onto the second floor of the building. This was back when they were trying to push what they call the Bearcat, this massive tank monstrosity that they ended up, of course, passing, even though the supermajority of people in the area were against it. Now you can't even do that. Now you can't fill their room.
And here goes Al Sharpton going to Washington with his busloads of people, getting to go in there because he's spreading the same garbage. And our black radio here in town, they have started, they're not black radio actually, because they've sold to, Kathy Hughes has sold her interest in Radio 1. And all they're doing now is having programs on where you can come pick up your box of garbage on Tuesday and get that garbage at your home. They're giving milk and raw meat to people that don't even have a refrigerator. And I don't know whether you guys know it or not. Women don't know how to cook anymore, so they're going to do anything with no vegetables or anything else because they never have done it before, But it's just this way things are going now, guys, and the restrictions and stuff that's going on. Just wait till 2021. They're going to have it tight down because, they fit the onus on us.
So you don't think it's going to get better? You don't think that that we're going to see a lessening of the lockdowns by 2021? You don't think that's going to happen?
Because with the mask mandate, they shifted the onus to the public. They can say, okay, we gave you a chance. We told you to wear your mask, right? You didn't wear the mask. The numbers are up. We're going to have a 3-month lockdown. Nobody goes anywhere except for the essential workers, okay? And you can't even go out to get food because we're going to deliver the food to you at your home. And you're going to get what we want you to have.
You get some government gruel. Here's your gruel for the day, Surf.
Yeah, a bowl of pottage. But anyway, I'm a pretty fortunate person because I've been able to support myself. I really am a poor person, but I'm rich in spirit.
Larry, I appreciate your spirit. I appreciate you calling in here and sharing your thoughts with us tonight on Free Talk Live. The toll-free number, and thank you for the call, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your thoughts on Larry's predictions?
I don't know whether that's going to. I think that I think it's despicable that they, they're keeping him out of his club. As far as predictions go, good luck.
855-450-FREE, like freedom. You can bring up absolutely anything that you want here. So as I mentioned earlier, the good news is one of the guys who was manufacturing a ton of LSD back 20 years ago in the United States, he is being let out of prison. And apparently it does have to do with some sentencing reform that Donald Trump did sign into to law. I think it was last year. You could look it up if you were more interested. The First Step Act does change sentences to drug crimes, and so they actually knocked about 8 years off of this guy's sentence as a result of that. So he's going to get out.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any particular point. Who's the victim here, and what's the point in keeping a 84-year-old locked in prison?
He's 74.
Sorry, 74-year-old who is ill and
He's quite ill.
Those sorts of things. I mean, either way, the taxpayers are paying for it, but I can assure you the taxpayers pay more while he's in prison.
Yeah, and apparently, according to the order from the judge, that they believe that he does not pose a significant risk to society and has engaged in substantial efforts at rehabilitation. Even the government didn't even challenge the assertion. So the prosecutor's like, yeah, okay. They didn't even try to keep him in
Well, that's
prison.
good.
Yeah. The court,
unusual.
It is unusual. The court concluded the 20 years he's already served are sufficient for meeting the goals of incapacitation, deterrence, retribution, and rehabilitation. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. We got another bizarre economic claim coming up. Aria is going to share that on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And there's all kinds of features there allowing you to interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. So head over to discord.lrn.fm and enjoy those features there. So it's Ian and Aria and Mark in the studio here tonight. As we continue, we will take your calls and thoughts. We got Gene, the Christian anarchist. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Gene.
Well, hello, guys. I'm sick and tired of talking about COVID-19, so I was going to talk instead about global warming, because that's one of my pet peeves, and one of the things that I consider to be cult-like. I consider belief in the government to be cult-like, and belief in global warming to be cult-like.
In what way?
I did a mathematical problem myself, and I tweeted it. I actually put it, I think I put it in your show prep, or I put it on the air. I can't remember what. But I took all of the known reserves of carbon fuels on the planet, just figured out, because we don't know exactly what the reserves are, but they have estimates of how much coal, how much crude, how much natural gas we've got. So I put all that together in a spreadsheet, figured how many BTUs per unit and how much CO2 per BTU times the reserves, and added it all up to get the total CO2 output, and came up, and then divided that into the atmospheric mass, and came up with a number that's so small, it's 0.00, there's 3 zeros, 0.00076 increase in atmospheric mass. So it's a very, very small amount of CO2 that you could possibly add to the atmosphere if you burned up everything.
So let me ask you some questions about that, Gene. I'm probably the biggest believer in global warming here on the show, so I'll take a couple of shots and see how that goes.
Go ahead.
First off, it's not like burning coal is what people are claiming is heating up the earth. They're claiming that it's the reflectivity in some way, the containment of energy from the sun that global warming gases create. Now, I don't know how they do it. I just presume that they, what they say is so because, well, they're saying it. Go on and address that. So first off, it doesn't have to do with the amount of energy created. It has to do with the containment of heat from the sun.
Yes, but the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is what will increase the containment of that heat.
Sure, but that doesn't have anything to do with the BTUs.
Well,
No, but the BTUs is just part of the formula to find out how much CO2 you're going to get out of the fuel. That's all the BTUs is for. It has nothing to do with trying to warm the planet by burning the fuel.
The other thing I've heard is that it doesn't really matter how much CO2 you burn. Really, it has to do with the methane produced by big agra and the amount of cows that we eat here in the United States and around the world. Different countries consume different amounts of beef. I know there's another animal that produces methane, a large scale agro animal that produces methane, but I can't remember which one it is.
Well, now I did run these numbers by a physics professor that I know, who's a friend of mine, and I ran these numbers by him, and he said he can't find any problem with my numbers. He did not make a statement that I must be right about global warming because, he's a scientist and he's not going to do that. But at any rate, he did say that my numbers were correct, and I have to say the reason I came to this.
Well, burning coal and oil and gasoline; those are not the only ways in which humans put more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. I mean, every animal exhales carbon dioxide, but even in addition to that, there's the melting of the permafrost in Greenland that has released massive amounts of CO2 that have been stored in the ice there for several centuries.
Well, isn't CO2 good for trees? Isn't that what they inhale?
Absolutely.
It is, and trees are becoming more efficient at converting carbon dioxide into oxygen as a result of the increase in carbon dioxide.
It's a more food-rich environment for them. Right. One would presume they're growing faster,
I mean, we saw this with the cyanobacteria back 4 billion years ago.
This is what I've never understood. I remember growing up,
the problem is we're also cutting down massive amounts of trees.
Well, that was what they were saying back in the day, but I mean, I've seen what
They
New
said
Hampshire
that
looks
40
like from
years
the
ago.
sky, and there's a ton of trees out there. So, like, there's still plenty of
Sure,
trees,
but
and you can
that's-
always plant more.
New Hampshire was clear cut at one point, nearly clear cut, and now
They said
it's
all this
covered
40
in trees.
years ago. This all been said 40 years ago, and that's why I became a big skeptic, because I would get in a plane and fly to China, and I would look down from 35,000 feet, and you can't even see that there are people on this planet. You can't even hardly see cities from 35,000 feet unless it's nighttime and they're all lit up. So the fact is, we are very, very tiny, and I have another...
Cyanobacteria were also tiny, and they are 100% the reason that animals exist today.
Yeah, but this is a
I mean,
different
this was a
story. We're talking
bacteria.
about
This
we're
was a
talking about
bacteria
volume here.
that had
We're
a
talking
massive
volume here.
Yes, but you're saying humans are tiny. We can't possibly impact the environment, and that's exactly counter
because
to that's
because
exactly
our
counter to
volume
history.
is so small. Our volume is so small. Look
So
at
is
the
the volume
percentage
of the
CO2.
cyanobacteria, Gene.
We're talking about CO2 here.
Yes,
This is a chemical.
which the cyanobacteria fed on, ultimately
This is a
leading to the
chemical.
evolution of plants.
It's the increase of a certain chemical in the mass of the atmosphere. We know all these numbers. We know what the mass of the
And it's not
atmosphere is.
necessarily a bad thing if it's feeding plants, right? Like, isn't that a good thing? Don't we want the trees to
Yes.
get healthy and like be well fed?
We were taught this in grade school when I was young.
Yeah,
where
that's why I remember
the CO2. The CO2 feeds the plants. The plants produce the oxygen, and
Right.
we
It's a nice little
we
circle.
are a symbiotic relationship with the plants. So the reason I got this idea was, like I say, flying in an airplane, looking down at the planet, and trying to see the effect of man on this planet. And you know what? I couldn't see it. And I said, how in the world can something so tiny? And I've got another graphic that shows the Grand Canyon, a picture of the Grand Canyon, and all 7 billion people piled up in the Grand Canyon. And it's a little tiny bump in the Grand Canyon for 7
So it doesn't
billion
even
people.
fill the Grand Canyon, is what you're saying?
Not even close. So the fact that we're so tiny on this big planet, and then the fact that the amount of fossil fuels is so small that it does not affect the mass of the atmosphere. People don't realize how much mass the atmosphere has on this planet.
I mean,
a
human
lot.
beings have created entire islands, Gene. How can you say humans have no ability to impact the environment?
Entire islands. You go to the moon and try and find that island. You get the most powerful telescope from the moon and try and find that island. You won't even see it. It's not even so much as a speck.
Well, I mean, that's not true. You can get a powerful enough telescope on Earth to be able to see the little tiny reflective
Well, I
mirror
understand
that
Gene's
the
point. The point he's trying to make here is that we're relatively insignificant in the scheme of Mother Nature, and I think
We
it's
are
an interesting point.
completely insignificant. And
I'm not
George
saying
Carlin,
we're not important, but we're not insignificant.
George Carlin did the thing about the planet just thinking of us as nothing more than a bad case of the fleas, and the planet would just shake us off. And I really like George Carlin. He was one of my heroes.
Well,
and
yeah, I mean, Mother
agree with
Nature
him.
has certain ways of dealing with a thing that gets too big. You know, if it's a forest, there's forest fires that happen sort of naturally to cull the.
We're
the
never going to get
underbrush.
too big.
And
COVID-19
it's funny
happens
because
to cull the old of age.
Right, or the plague, or something like that.
And a thing about the trees is, I was looking at Google Earth, and you can roll Google Earth back, to the earliest pictures that the USGS made of the planet. And on our property here, we've got a lot of tall trees. They're like 40 feet tall, 35, 40 feet tall trees. And so I went on Google Earth and I rolled it all back. And 45 years ago, this was flat farmland with no trees. And you can see it on Google Earth. And now it's just all trees. They're just huge. So the fact that we're tearing down trees doesn't really affect anything because they
You can
grow
always
back.
plant more. Thank you for the call, Gene. I appreciate it. 855-450, free like freedom. And all these environmentalist people have been predicting doom and gloom forever, and it still has yet to transpire. It's always 10 years away. 10 years away. 10 years away. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
If you or a loved one is a survivor of abuse by Boy Scouts of America representatives as far back as the 1970s, we urge you to speak up. We'll stand with you and get you the help and financial compensation you deserve. A jury in Portland, for example, awarded $18.5 million in punitive damages in one Boy Scout sexual abuse case. The Boy Scouts of America filed for bankruptcy, and funds have been set aside to compensate those injured. Time is limited, and so are the funds. Call today. Don't wait. For free information on how to file your claim, call All Survivors Advocates right now. We have a long track record in helping our clients get the legal justice and compensation they deserve. Please, we are ready to help you. Call today.
800-364-2984. 800-364-2984. 800-364-2984. That's 800-364-2984.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want here. The toll-free number, 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, New York City setting up a quarantine checkpoint, or more than one quarantine checkpoint at key entry points. We'll tell you more about that on the way. But we've been talking about the economy and how the government gang is ruining it, and we can get into more of that on the way. But again, toll-free number 855-450 free. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
And I definitely want you to know about Bitcoin.com. It's a great site to go and learn the basics about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, cryptocurrency in general. It's been an amazing month for these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. A lot of them have gone up in value. Of course, some would say that's because the U.S. government has printed trillions of dollars, and that's now catching up to prices.
It's not hurting the price of Bitcoin for sure.
Certainly isn't hurting it. So go to Bitcoin.com. You can learn the basics there. Or if you're not new to Bitcoin, you can learn about the latest news headlines from their news site, which is always being updated with news stories about the world of cryptocurrency. So check it out at news.bitcoin.com. As we go to Kirby, he's in Indianapolis watching us on YouTube. Go ahead, Kirby.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, Kirby.
I just wanted to tell Larry he's lucky to be away from these so-called concerned clergy. They're a bunch of do-nothings. They get grant money.
That's kind of religion's whole
they're very religious, and that's their whole thing. They want to get out here on the street where people are selling dope and shooting each other over it and tell them about Jesus. Like, that's going to help anything.
Yeah,
I wouldn't think it would.
But he's lucky to be away from them.
I would suggest that Jesus probably doesn't care if people are smoking dope.
I'm pretty sure he don't, because, I mean, the way I look at it is all religion has told us is don't rob, murder, or steal. Everything other than that is on you. If you ask me, Jesus was a libertarian.
There's a good argument. Some people have even said Jesus was an anarchist.
I can go for that too, because when he told people give Caesar what's Caesar's and give God what is his, basically he was telling you tell Caesar to go pound sand.
Right. I mean, when I see Benjamin Franklin on the $100 bill, that doesn't make me think to myself, this bill belongs to Benjamin Franklin or to the United States government. I usually think this bill belongs to, well, whomever has it, presumably me. Usually, if I have it, actually, it's my wife's.
Kirby, anything else you want to share? Go ahead.
No, that's it. You know, you guys do a good job. I try to spread the word, but I'm going to be honest, among black people, they consider libertarianism Republican light.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what we could do about that? You know, rather than try to rebut it.
Not have common sense platforms.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Well,
there you go.
a lot of people don't
Honestly.
even know what libertarians actually are. I mean, I haven't done this in years, so I could be wrong about it, but I used to do outreach booths with the Libertarian Party like 2 decades ago, and people didn't have any clue what a libertarian was. Now, maybe they've heard of it by now, but I bet you they still don't know what it is. I bet you if you went out on the streets and you asked 100 people to define what a libertarian is, I bet you wouldn't get 10 of them to tell you what a libertarian is in any kind of accurate, like mention non-aggression or have a good explanation for, you know, the principles of
You might get
libertarianism.
10 answers from people, but they wouldn't be correct.
Well, I mean, out of 100 answers,
Right.
you probably wouldn't get 10 that would be right. Like if you got 100 people actually stop and talk to you, you'd probably have to ask 300 to talk before you get 100 that would stop. Kirby, thanks for your call as always. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE because, you know, libertarians have a message that can appeal to anybody. I mean, it's not necessarily targeted at one type of person, only white males, even though that tends to be the bulk of the libertarian movement for some reason. As long as a human is interested in freedom, then they should be interested in what libertarians have to say. Unfortunately, if your first interaction with a libertarian is with a really crappy libertarian, like somebody who is a terrible communicator, somebody who doesn't understand how to listen or whatever, then you're probably going to have a negative taste in your mouth, and that's going to affect how you feel about libertarians in the future.
I think a lot of people's first interaction with a libertarian is the interaction with somebody strawmanning the libertarian ideas.
What does that mean, to strawman?
So strawman is you build an argument and then you beat it up. Right?
Meaning that the person's not actually a libertarian with whom they're speaking about libertarianism?
Right. I was claiming that it was somebody who's not a libertarian building a straw man of a libertarian and then beating up the straw man.
Mm-hmm.
So
kind of like the argument, you just want the poor to starve. or you just want the lockdown to end so you can play golf.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Libertarians support the corporatist takeover of America, which couldn't be further from the truth. The evidence is that Democrats and Republicans support the corporatist takeover of America because libertarians have never been in power and the corporations have taken over America.
Yep.
So, choke on that one.
I'm pretty sure the corporations were always in charge, basically, as soon as they were created, or at least they became that way relatively quickly.
Sure, you take responsibility away from any entity, and that entity is going to act as though it is irresponsible.
So if you want to take control of the airwaves here, you can. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom.
Now, there have been libertarians that make the argument that corporations or some kind of limited liability company would exist in a libertarian world. And, maybe they would and maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. I don't live in a libertarian world. And this is the presumption of what would happen over the course of many decades or whatever. To me, a person should be responsible for their actions in a given situation, and whatever that means. And so, you shouldn't be able to create a corporation and then not be responsible for your actions because you created a corporation. That's silly. That's government stuff.
Baraka66 in our Discord server says, are corporations that old? I thought they were made to build bridges and things like that. I think it was, in the 1800s?
I believe that the Erie Canal was the first creation of a corporation. I couldn't tell you the name of it, New York something or other. And that was basically, in the United States, the first sort of thing. So, yes, he's correct.
It says here, 1790s, according to Investopedia, were the first American corporations. Were in the 1790s.
Sure,
so,
but
yeah,
those
almost
aren't what we're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about corporations,
sure.
And I don't know what you were talking about when you were talking about corporations.
Yeah, in most
corporations
cases,
are legal fiction.
Corporations created early on were generally created in sort of public works projects.
Mm-hmm. This says that they were developed in the 1790s, almost instantly becoming key institutions in the young nation's economy. Although corporations had existed in Europe in the early 19th century, particularly in Great Britain and the Netherlands, no country took to corporate development like the United States. Small banking corporations existed in the first years after the American Revolution. However, most historians note the first important industrial corporation was the Boston Manufacturing Company in the year 1813. Its business model was imported from Great Britain, where textile corporations helped spark the first industrial revolution 3 decades earlier. Corporations could raise capital from diverse sources, providing an important mechanism for savers and producers alike. And then they go on to talk about...
I guess I'd have to do more research on it because that doesn't sound like my understanding of the creation of corporations.
Well, check it out. Investopedia, there's a little bit more to that story, but we're not going to go off fully in that direction, just answering the question. If you want to jump into the discussion, you can. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Coming up, we've got this story that we've been kind of teasing you with that Aria brought in regarding... can you sum it up, Aria? What exactly are we going to be talking about here?
A former Treasury official's take on what inflation is and how it's... He basically interprets inflation to be an increase in prices rather than, that being how we measure the increase in money supply, which is what inflation actually is.
Correct.
So the headline of his article here is something that's just absolutely, it's word salad.
Is this a piece that he wrote? He wrote this article, or is this an article about something that the guy said? Just curious.
I'm not sure.
But this is another Federal Reserve
It's different than
chairman?
The one you read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a Federal Reserve chairman. He's a former Treasury official and current economist, saying that the ballooning money supply may be the key to unlocking inflation in the United States. So, that's what got my attention. It's a word salad.
It's nothing. It means nothing.
No.
It's headline.
The ballooning money supply is the inflation in the United States.
We'll talk about what he has to say coming up here in moments. But the problem is his opinion about inflation is the one they teach in government schools.
Yeah.
And that's what people
and
believe.
that's what's here on CNBC.
Right. And they'll just parrot it. Hold that thought, Mark. We're going to continue here. 855-450-FREE. We got a full hour to go, which means plenty of time for you to join us on the radio. Plus, quarantine checkpoints coming to New York City and maybe a city near you. It's Free Talk Live.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur. And Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work. So I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin. And, all right, I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Backing off. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump now is saying nobody can say for sure whether the explosion in Beirut that killed at least 135 people and injured 5,000 was deliberate after yesterday characterizing it as a bomb.
Rescue crews picked through the rubble looking for survivors. There was twisted metal, broken glass, and splintered wood everywhere. Lebanon's President Michel Aoun has released $66 million in emergency funds as aid is pouring in from around the world. Beirut has entered a 2-week state of emergency, and the government has pledged to hold someone accountable for the blast. The official explanation of what caused the explosion is a stockpile of ammonium nitrate that was on fire, ultimately leading to 2 blasts in the city. Hospitals remain completely overwhelmed. Story after story of people losing everything. One interview with a governor in Beirut stands out, where he compared the devastation to that of Hiroshima.
Fox's Trey Yings. They're still far apart. That's the assessment from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as Democrats and Republicans continue to try to reach a deal on a new coronavirus relief package. Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer says the Republican plan is not enough.
This is the greatest economic crisis America has faced in 75 years, the greatest health crisis in 100. There must be a relief package commensurate with the size of this historic challenge.
McConnell has canceled next week's recess so the Senate can continue working on the measure. A panel in the city of Minneapolis says it needs more time to review a city council amendment that would dismantle the police department, ending the possibility of voters deciding on the issue in November. There have been calls to dismantle the department since the death of George Floyd on May 25th while in police custody, but the city's charter commission expressed concerns the process was being rushed. Survivors and relatives of the bombing on Hiroshima, Japan have gathered to mark the 75th anniversary of the atomic bombing. America is listening to Fox News.
2020 has been a gut punch to American business. And if you're going to succeed, you need every possible advantage. That's why savvy companies like Moink run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. With NetSuite, Moink has visibility and control over their financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need, all in one place. So they can deliver ethically raised, delicious meat to homes all across the country. Here's Moink founder, Lucinda Cramsey.
Feeding America is not a job I take lightly. I need to know how my numbers translate to food on folks' tables. So I ain't got no time for a math mistake. NetSuite is my single source of truth. Financials, inventory, and supply chain, all in real time. Americans depend on Moink to keep their families fed, so I depend on NetSuite.
NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook called 7 Actions Businesses Need to Take Now. Receive your free playbook and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox.
Fire crews continue to make progress on one of the wildfires burning in Southern California.
After moving rapidly over the weekend, the Apple Fire's growth practically stalled midweek. And Wednesday morning, it was just over 27,000 acres, 30% contained. The small amount of growth recorded even after officials reported that flames were quite active Tuesday. Evacuations in Riverside County, east of Los Angeles, were able to be lifted, though they were still in place for parts of San Bernardino County where the fire's burning. Roughly a dozen structures were damaged or destroyed. The weather has cooled a bit. However, the vegetation is very thick. Crews say this area has no recent burn history. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The State Department's acting inspector general is stepping down.
Stephen Accard has resigned as the State Department's internal watchdog after less than 3 months on the job. Accard took the position in an acting capacity when Steve Linick, who was investigating Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, was fired. His last day is Friday. Accard will be replaced by his deputy, Diana Shaw. The Washington Post cites an internal memo saying Accard is returning to Indiana to take a job with a law firm. Secretary Pompeo has denied Linick was fired because he was investigating a deal to sell arms to Saudi Arabia without congressional approval. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
The Biden campaign spending $280 million in digital and TV ads through the fall, nearly twice the amount the Trump campaign is planned to spend. The Biden camp says the ads will run in 15 states, including traditional swing states and some that are typically Republican. Earlier today, the Biden campaign also announced he will not travel to Milwaukee to accept the Democratic nomination later this month. President Trump says he is considering delivering his speech from the White House due to the security and cost advantages. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
A prison rights group protests the treatment of supervillains in the nation's magnetic detainment cubes. A local dad thought he could make it out of a zoo without buying his kids light-up shit, and a pigeon wishes just once it could complete a head movement smoothly. This is the Onion Week in Review. Millions of frustrated Americans across the country asked this week why the nation's struggling mental health system couldn't just get it together and stop feeling sorry for itself. Exasperated citizens told reporters that they had lost all patience with the ailing network's failure to perform basic tasks, such as routine mental health evaluations and emergency counseling.
Look, I get it. Everyone goes through a rough patch. Just look at the education system. I know times are tough, but things are never going to improve unless the system decides it wants to get better.
In other news, a new study finds that more men are opting to be in the room when their wife conceives their baby. An Aria man is unaware all of his friends think of him when they want to put things into perspective, and 36 chemical and emotional responses are activated by the phrase pigs in a blanket.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the third hour of the program. As always, you can join us on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. You hop into one of those, you'll sound like you're sitting here in the studio with us, because it really does sound pretty great on most Discord calls. Over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
Aria, let's get into the story here by a former Treasury official, some goon who wants to lie about inflation.
Yeah, well, according to CNBC, with the Federal Reserve and Congress pushing stimulus efforts to new heights, some investors are keeping a close eye on a surge in the U.S. money supply for signs of inflation's long-awaited return.
All right.
Keep a close eye on the money supply because the inflation might sneak back in at some point.
Right, as though the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with that.
Where's that inflation come from anyway?
Well, first off, I think that sort of I think we should try to use terms like price inflation and monetary inflation in order to be specific, because this is the obfuscation.
Well, that would
goes
just be
on.
a price increase.
Yeah,
as a result.
Why
of
use
inflation.
the same word?
Well, because that's what the terms they use. So,
Why
but
use
the
their
terms are incorrect.
Why let them define the terms you're using? Or why let them define which terms?
Because they're the economists, and those are the terms.
Anybody can be an
use?
economist.
Sure. Well, I mean,
just go learn about the economy.
All right.
Now you're
so
an
I
economist.
skipped over an important bullet point here that I just want to point out real quick. Normally characterized by slow, steady growth, the U.S. money supply has grown 20% from $15.33 trillion at the end of 2019 to $18.3 trillion at the end of July.
Now, I presume that includes money in bank accounts, not all physical dollars, or at least
just the
digital
U.S.
dollars?
money supply.
Yeah. Okay.
Is all it says.
Because there's different ways they measure the money supply. There's like M1, M2, M3.
There's M0, yeah.
Is there M0? Yeah, I see. I don't know what the difference is.
M3 has been, they don't even give us those numbers anymore. Yeah, you don't need those numbers anymore. We're not giving those to you.
Yeah, I forget the differences between them.
Well, we could get the definitions up. I mean, I couldn't rattle them off on the top of my head.
The point is,
M0,
it's just them.
It's up 20%.
Scientific woo and calling it economics. I mean, it's just magician's sleight of hand.
I would disagree with that terminology. So I think what they're doing is in a lot of cases is that they try to speak gobbledygook in the form of truth in order to confuse everybody.
That's what woo means.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, go ahead.
With a litany of metrics showing rapid growth in the value of money waiting in banks and other liquid accounts, investors...
Wow. Hold on. Yeah. The rapid growth in the value of money?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true at all. That is just false. As we were discussing earlier, the government's money, not just in the U.S., but all government money everywhere, is subject to inflation, which is an increase in the money supply, which by definition means the value of those dollars goes down as they print more of them out.
It doesn't necessarily mean that. If banks are holding and demand for money is going up, then the value of money is going up. However, we would know the value of money is going up because there's a really great way to know, and that is that the interest rate that banks are charging on loans is going up. That's what we call the price of money. And price indicates demand, and right now the price of money isn't terribly high from what I've seen. So that sounds like
it's down depending on what you compare it to. It's down if you compare it to Bitcoin or gold or silver.
That sounds like a lie, is what that sounds like.
What sounds like? What that guy said?
That gentleman's statement sounds like a lie.
Oh, yeah. It's all lies and incorrect information. It's fair to say we have never observed money supply growth as high as it is today.
That seems fair.
In the United States.
Morgan Stanley chief U.S. equity strategist.
You can observe it right now by looking at Venezuela.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, I have here predicted might not be the best term, indicated that the U.S. debt will be $40 trillion.
By when?
By the end of 2024. So
are you going to eat any parts of your body if you're incorrect?
Well, no.
Okay. Well, then that's no fun, Mark.
It's not an unreasonable prediction given that it's been doubling like crazy over the last...
So,
20% so far this year.
Right. Well, I mean, I predicted this long before the 20% number was stated. I just observed that the debt was about $5 trillion when Bush took office, and $10 trillion when Obama took office, and $20 trillion when Trump took office. So therefore,
8 years later,
presumably, I also said, well, if Trump makes it 8 years, then
was it 20 trillion at the end of Obama, or like 18 or 19?
It was 18 or 19.
I'm talking abouts.
Okay. Because
does a few trillion even matter?
Yeah, who's counting? According to USDebtClock.org,
just look at how it escalates.
26 or 27?
It's currently at 26.6. So I just wanted to make sure that we gave Trump all the credit for his term, which would have been 19 or so, right? So
I would have to look it up. I think it's right near 20. So I don't know 19 what.
So it's gone up at least 6.5 since Trump, probably 7.
Certainly.
Since Trump, and he's not even done with his first 4 years yet.
No, he likes cheap money. He wants that because he knows that Wall Street thrives on it, and he listened to the Clintons with "It's the economy, stupid," that claim, and okay, so the way to keep the economy rolling along, at least for a period of time, is by making money cheap. And making money cheap is the Federal Reserve loosening the strings and keeping interest rates low.
The Fed may not be in control of money supply growth, which means they won't have control of inflation either if it gets going.
Who's not? How are they not in control of the growth of the money supply? Does that mean that?
Well, he capitalized money supply, so it seems like he's referring to some specific term. Like the amount of money that is actually being circulated on a daily basis?
Well,
perhaps?
I mean, the Federal Reserve, and look, if there's somebody who actually works in banking out there that wants to weigh in on this, feel free at 855-450-FREE. But as I understand it, the Federal Reserve has authorized banks to print their own money, essentially, by issuing loans, right? So when a bank issues a loan, they're actually issuing money that never existed prior to that. They're not sending you money that was in their vault.
Right.
They're just incrementing numbers in a computer, and they have the authorization to do that from the Federal Reserve. So I guess you could say that day to day, the Fed doesn't know, if Mark's got Mark's bank and you issue 10 loans today, the Federal Reserve didn't know you were going to issue 10 loans or one loan or no loans, right? So I guess from that perspective, they don't know exactly how much money is going to be created.
But it was talking about control.
Well, they would know if there was still fractional reserve banking, but there's
isn't. Not now, right? Didn't they get rid of the reserve
requirement? It got reduced to 0%. So I mean, now then they could have known. Okay, well, this is the amount of assets this bank has, so we know they cannot create more than this amount.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Agreed. So, but the Federal Reserve controls the amount of the creation of money currently by simply having the interest rate. So the interest rate if Mark's bank gives out a $1 million loan to someone to buy whatever, and that $1 million I'm getting from the Federal Reserve at a rate, and then I'm hiking it up in order to lend it out. So I'm actually getting the money, which has been created out of nothing, from the Federal Reserve, of which I am basically a franchise, and I am adding a fee on for the administration of that loan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. And if it gets paid back, then it gets paid back. If it doesn't get paid back, it gets written off. Whatever.
That's right. So no real risk to the bank, right?
I mean, a bank that has a bunch of bad loans is not going to stay afloat. But, the Federal Reserve may step in. At this point, they may call them too big to fail.
Or they'll hand it over to one of their bank buddies and they'll absorb it.
That's the other option.
Yeah.
So it starts getting into some really tedious economic terms. It talks about the M2 money supply, what it means, what it's never exceeded, and other boring stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the risk of higher inflation may be greater than it's ever been, too, wrote Wilson.
I love that it's like this sort of they act like it's this sort of unpredictable thing that's sort of floating out there. It's in the ether, and will it come soon? The risk of high inflation.
Yeah, when they're literally the ones causing it.
Right, as though they have no idea what's going on, that they don't know what they're doing, that they're not in any way knowledgeable of what inflation actually is. I mean, it's all a load.
Though the differences between Bitcoin and gold are many, Wall Street has for weeks chased both assets as hedges against inflation and a relatively safe place to keep wealth during a volatile year.
Yeah, so if somebody had done what you suggested, Aria, and again, this isn't investment advice, it's just what you said you would do in the circumstance, and paid or bought the $1,200 worth of Bitcoin, they'd probably be up to what, like $1,500?
It'd be between $1,400 and $1,500, I think.
News from news.bitcoin.com. The IRS is requesting information about privacy cryptos from people that are still filing their income tax forms. Coinbase may be planning to go public on the stock market this year. Stablecoin Tether is now circulating on the Bitcoin Cash network. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Log on now at news.bitcoin.com.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. Just dial in here toll free. Take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty, then check out freedomsphoenix.com. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. It's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com, freedomsphoenix.com. Ian, Aria, and Mark in the studio here tonight. So I actually have a related story to this discussion we were having about inflation, which, again, these so-called economists that were what probably are likely what they call Keynesian economists who should know what the definition of inflation is, but they purposefully try to obscure it because they support the idea of creating inflation, which is properly defined as the increase in the money supply, which, as you pointed out,
under circumstances.
They support it under all circumstances.
No, they don't.
That's what their whole system's based on. It's constantly inflating.
Nope. That's okay. So
that's not what happens.
Maynard Keynes is more than 100 years old. Okay. His philosophies were from way back, and his philosophy was you expand the money supply in times of drought or bad things happening in the country.
Oh well, they've changed that to expand it all the time. Then.
That's because when you give a child,
because inflating the currency makes bad things happen economically.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't know what else to do except
inflate some
the
more.
Money supply.
Well, I would disagree.
So what do you call it then, Mark, if it's not Keynesian economics where it's constantly inflating?
Modern monetary theory.
Gotcha. Let's go to
modern monetary theory is the most,
Wasn't that the name of Keynes' book?
they've morphed the whole thing. I don't know if that's the name of Keynes' book. I know it has to do with animal spirits, but not the one that I read.
Let's go to the phones. Randy is on the line in Indiana. You're on Free Talk Live, watching us on our Twitch feed at twitch.lrn.fm. Now, don't forget, Randy, you are on broadcast radio, so please keep it radio friendly. Go ahead. Hello.
Why would you say that?
Just as a reminder, a lot of the folks on Twitch don't understand that we're doing a broadcast radio show, and then they end up saying the F-bomb, and we have to be very sad and disconnect their call and then dump them. So what are you going to say?
Says a lot about your audience, doesn't it?
Oh, that's...
well, it says more about Twitch than it does the audience.
You think?
No, my friends don't. My friends
You're
call
right.
me that. You should be shot in the head, Mark Edge. And what if you were by a lunatic?
Oh, that is him.
Yeah, he's getting pretty good at disguising his voice.
If you were shot in the head by a lunatic, why should F the police care?
Goodbye. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We go to a related story. I just so happen to be scrolling through a Google News feed as we were talking about inflation, and what do you know? CNN headline, everything at the grocery store is getting more expensive.
Shocking. Who would ever have seen this coming?
Now, isn't CNN one of those major news companies that was cheering on like the coronavirus relief and the printing out of more money to give checks to people and writing all manner of stories about, hey, here's when you're going to get your check. What if you don't get your check? Here's who you need to contact. You make sure you get your check from that Trump. We got to get more money out. We need more money. Well, this is what happens. Yeah. This is where this goes
this to. This is a direct result of an increase in the money supply, is an increase in prices.
That's right. And there's another aspect to this as well, which is that wages don't increase along with the increase in the money supply.
No.
They don't. I mean, they may increase eventually, but it doesn't trail the same
We temporarily got
rate.
COVID hazard pay at the place I work, but they took that away already.
That's no longer a hazard.
No, well, it was never a hazard. But
do people still have to...
They called it one. No, the restrictions are more extreme than ever.
Right.
But they took away the extra amount of money to make it even remotely worth dealing with.
Well, and they're going to be taking away, as I understand it, or maybe they already have, the $600 a week bonus. Didn't that end at the beginning of August? I think it did. There were certainly some stories in the news about that. Now, there's talk about another unemployment bonus that's supposed to come, but I don't think they've passed that particular bill yet. What do they call it? The CARES?
Friday?
Do they call it the CARES Act this time? Or was that the first one?
Some
Who Cares Act?
Which one was it? There's another one like, was the first one Heroes or the first one CARES? Because there's one that's called Heroes and another one's CARES.
Heroes didn't pass, I think.
Okay, well, they're still working on it. They haven't passed it, I don't think. But grocery prices have skyrocketed, according to CNN Business, during the coronavirus pandemic. It has Americans spending more at the supermarket than they have in years.
Yes, and did you get an increase to your wages because of all of this $3 trillion that Trump pumped into the economy?
No, you didn't.
Of course you didn't.
No, you're lucky to still have a job.
So now your standard of living is lower as a direct result of this increase in the money supply.
Right. And
you can buy less food now.
Correct. And you're lucky to even have a job at all, right? Because a lot of people lost their jobs entirely, and those that still have them are now behind the ball. They're able to buy less with the same amount of money that they were earning before.
So the $3 trillion was entered into the economy through the Federal Reserve, and Trump didn't really have anything to do with that. It was about $1 trillion that's entered in through.
Didn't he sign the bill?
U.S. debt. It's not a bill. The Federal Reserve acts independently of the United States government.
Well, there was a bill.
But the U.S. government told them to create $3 trillion to pump it into the economy.
There was a bill. I think it was called.
That money goes to banks. I mean, that's bank
money.
It went
to big business.
Big business. Some small businesses to pay their employees and stuff like that.
Okay, so there were two.
And it went to $1,200 to every taxpaying American.
No, absolutely not. That's a misunderstanding of the two. So there's.
I guess I wasn't here 2 months ago when all of this happened, Ian.
Okay, the United States Federal Reserve created $3 trillion and gave it to banks. The United States government took a loan from, as it does with everything, it's debt. Took a debt-based loan from the Federal Reserve of 1 point something, like we'll call it 1.5.
CARES Act was $2.2 trillion.
Okay.
And that was signed by Donald Trump.
All right. I thought that was 1.2.
Don't try to act like Donald Trump didn't have anything to do with this.
I didn't act like Donald Trump didn't have anything to do with it.
The Republicans and the Democrats came together.
$3 trillion. The
2.2, close enough. The Republicans and the Democrats came together to pass what they called a stimulus bill
Where
just
do
a
you
few
think
months
this
ago.
20% inflation of the monetary supply that we just talked about, where do you think that came from?
The Federal
$2.2
Reserve.
trillion came from the CARES Act.
No, it didn't. That's not how we inflate the monetary supply.
It is literally the U.S. government going to the Fed, hey, we want $2.2 trillion, and the Fed going, okay, here it is. So whose fault is that? Who created that?
The Federal Reserve took out $3 trillion, and I'll look it up for you guys.
Took it out.
I didn't
They
realize,
made it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's $0.8 trillion
the
that
United
isn't
States
accounted
government
for.
borrows its money from the Federal Reserve.
We know.
Okay.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve is the lender or the buyer of last resort
Right.
on the
So
federal bonds.
You
or
understand
whatever.
that the U.S.
Treasuries.
debt doesn't have anything to do with money that the Federal Reserve pumps into banks.
The debt has to do with what the federal government spends.
Correct.
That they don't have.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but the money supply
and they didn't
is
have,
not related to the
they
debt.
didn't have the
it's not-
$2.2 trillion.
What's
Okay.
that?
They didn't have the $2.2 trillion, so they went further into debt and got that money from the Federal Reserve.
Correct. The Federal Reserve also pumped in $3 trillion.
You're saying on top of the 2.2?
Yes.
And they pumped it into the banking system?
Correct. I will go find that now.
Well, that math doesn't line up with the article we literally just read.
Find that, please, Mark. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Either way, if it's 3.2 or 2.2 or 5.2 or whatever it is, there's a lot of trillions that are being pumped out, and that is resulting in your grocery prices going up as well as other prices everywhere else. You'll see it happen. If it hasn't happened yet where you are, it's Free Talk Live. Just pay attention.
Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DIVIproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DIVIproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DIVIproject.org. DIVI project.org. News from Bitcoin.com. Twitter hacked. Bitcoin blamed. NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace will soon have a Bitcoin logo on his car. Banks will make $18 billion in fees on COVID-19 relief funds. Bitcoin Cash still lets you control your own money. PayPal confirms it's developing cryptocurrency capabilities while still shutting down accounts of crypto users. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to their channel on YouTube.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar. and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agoristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agoristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agoristhosting.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can dial toll free. Join us on the radio. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm. Hop into one of those. You'll sound great with us on the air tonight. It's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
Thanks to Shooty HG. Shooty is a Free Talk Live silver amplifier, which means that Shooty contributes $5 a month to the AMP program, which helps Free Talk Live get on more radio stations and bring more internet listeners on board. I finally got caught up on my radio station calls today because we were in the woods of Rogers Campground for 2 weeks, and you can't make any business calls from the campground, so I basically had to let all that slide. So I got that nice caught up feeling on all the dozens and dozens, if not 200 plus calls I had to make. So that's what I do during the daytime is I call radio stations and pitch the show to them. But it helps that we're also being seen. We've got an advertisement that runs regularly in Talkers Magazine. Now, they don't have a print version anymore. They haven't, I think, for like a decade now, most of a decade. And but they do still do an industry newsletter thing that goes to thousands of talk radio programmers, and we've been advertising in that for years. So it's because of Free Talk Live listeners like Shooty HG that we can do those things. So please join the AMP program. You'll get some cool bennies, you get some perks for joining, and you can do it with your debit card, your credit card, your PayPal account, or even Bitcoin BTC over at amp.freetalklive.com. It's ampamp.freetalklive.com. Mark, you were looking up Federal Reserve trillions and money printings, and what did you find out?
Yeah, so from CNBC, this is from back in April, and likely the sort of the news that I was attempting to quote there. A couple of points from the article. It says, here's everything the Fed has done to save the economy. There's no quotation marks in this. They're saying it completely unironically.
Serious.
Jeff Cox here from CNBC. That's his quote there. The Federal Reserve has taken unprecedented action to save the economy during the coronavirus. Key point. Second,
meaning they've printed even more than they did in 2008.
There have been rate cuts and a slew of credit and lending programs that could inject more than $6 trillion into the economy.
We heard that number, and we talked about that back when it was happening.
Meanwhile, banks are lowering people's credit lines and closing their accounts.
So I guess that's not what's happening. But, I mean, like they said, it could inject more than
Yeah,
$6
there was a lot of
trillion.
speculation about a $6 trillion, and I don't know if it ever actually did in that instance.
I don't think it could have got that. I had heard the number 3.
I think by the time the year's out, we're going to see $6 trillion.
And let me go. I do have a newer article.
Yeah.
So it also mentions Congress has passed $2 trillion in rescue efforts, but continues to squabble over how much more to be allocated and how it could be distributed.
So that the $2 trillion they're referring to is the 2.2 from the so-called CARES Act, of which a boatload went to mega corporations.
So that's a potential $8 trillion that was being floated as COVID, rescue. All right.
And now they're fighting about. Now they're fighting about the next one. Right
yes.
Now.
Well,
they're playing politics.
It's probably not going to get to $8 trillion, that the amount that they went to. So Brookings then goes to securities purchases, QE. The Fed has resumed purchasing massive amounts of securities, a key tool employed during the Great Recession when the Fed bought trillions of long-term securities, Treasury and mortgage-backed securities. Okay, it goes on.
Yes,
and then it
banks
says,
are buying out the world.
Yep.
That's the takeaway there. And people really need to understand that. They really need to process, and they really need to start resisting, because otherwise banks will own everything.
Wait, who's going to resist what?
People have to resist the bank's massive buyouts of the United States.
Between
they're not.
mid-March and mid-June, the Fed's portfolio of securities held outright, means they own them, grew from 3.9 trillion to 6.1 trillion. So call that 2.2.
But what does that mean?
The things they own. The securities that they own outright. So mortgages.
The Federal Reserve now owns securities. Is that a new thing? Because I heard that they were buying like corporate things that they weren't supposed to buy before to do propping up of these various different markets. I've heard that that's what's going on, but I don't know if that's true.
They could be owning stocks. They could be owning all kinds of things. I'll read the whole article, the whole section here to you. Going on, the Fed's actions aim to restore smooth market functioning so that the credit can continue to flow. On March 15th, the Fed said it would buy at least $500 billion in Treasury securities. That's from the United States government, and $200 billion in government-guaranteed mortgage-backed securities.
Before you go on, the Treasury
months.
Securities, they could, in theory, sell to someone else. But if no one wants to buy them, the Federal Reserve is the last buyer.
Well, that's my next article, where people are, now international financial news is speculating about the United States dollar, like wildly speculate. No, I shouldn't say wildly. Open and outright speculating about the United States dollar losing its world reserve currency status. And ladies and gentlemen, if you think things are bad in America in the last decade, you ain't seen horse pucky.
Well, I've got a story related to that, Mark, from RT, the Russian government's news arm here in the United States.
Mouthpiece.
The headline here, this was written less than a week ago. Dumping the dollar. Record gold price justifies Moscow's choice to abandon the greenback and bet on precious metal. So apparently the Russian government has been moving away from storing Benjamins as a reserve currency and gradually replacing the dollar in trade. Was accompanied by a relentless gold buying spree by the Russian government. The moves were a reaction to U.S. sanctions, the primary tool of America's economic war on the world's largest country. On Thursday, an ounce of the precious metal had traded at a maximum of $2,005, so this was just after it eclipsed that level. It's now past. Earlier today, it was like 257 or 2,057. So it's at, again, record highs almost every single day. The growth in gold.
When Russia's buying this gold, are they taking possession of it?
Good question.
Because if you don't have possession of gold, you don't have gold.
As
you got pieces of paper that say gold
popularity is directly linked to global economic uncertainty due to COVID-19, with it being seen as protection against inflation as their U.S. Federal Reserve money printers work overtime.
I wonder if the people who ship gold are considered essential workers.
The increase in the value of gold comes as a great victory for Moscow's policy, which moved vast sums away from fiat currency and toward the commodity. In the last 5 years, the country has spent more than $40 billion building up a massive pile of the traditional safe haven.
That's smart.
Protecting state finances from currency volatility. Now, of
it's
course,
smart if you believe Pravda. I mean,
if I
come
believe
on.
What?
Do you think they're lying? You think
I think
the
that
Russian
they are
government
a government mouthpiece, and anything that they say Moscow on, I just don't.
You don't think the Russians are trading dollars for gold?
I think they would love to. I don't think they're doing it successfully.
It's not hard to do.
Yes, it is. Gold's hard to move.
Well, you can
Not
afford
if
it.
you're the Russian government.
If you're the Russian government, you can afford as many forklifts and trucks as you need to. It says here they've spent more than $40 billion in the last 5 years on this project. That's a lie? Are you saying that's propaganda?
I don't know what to believe out of RT specifically. What I'm telling you is the German government attempted about 10 years ago to get its money out of the New York Federal Reserve Bank, and they told them no. It's wet,
I understand
and they still haven't gotten it. They haven't dried out gold over a decade.
Well, I don't know if they're going to say where they're storing this gold, Mark, or if they've purchased the gold, but they certainly want you to believe that they are dumping dollars and buying gold. They say here that in September of 2014...
that you should dump dollars and rubles and euros and all of that government crap and buy gold or some asset of value. However, do I believe states And statists, when they claim to be super duper rich, no, they're incompetent and they F stuff up, including the Russians. Do I believe the Russian mouthpiece
that hard to figure
intended
out,
to undermine the United States federal government when it writes stuff? No, I
that's
don't.
Absolutely their intention. That's what they do.
They're lying.
Their intention is to undermine the U.S. government.
Yes.
And so they don't have to tell a lie about how one of the ways they've done that is by dumping dollars and buying gold. They say here in September of 2014, Russia's gold holding was just 10% of the country's entire forex reserves. Now the proportion stands at 23% with 2,000...
Is that paper or is it metal?
With 2,299.9 metric tons. So I don't know, Mark. They're probably not going to be honest with you about whether or not they have paper or metal.
Excellent.
But the point is they're dumping dollars for gold. Now, whether you want to believe that or not, that's what the report is.
Oh, I believe it.
Jesus Christ.
They don't have the gold, moron!
You don't know that. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Attention listeners interested in food supplies. If you've ever wanted to create an endless, crash-proof stockpile of survival food and do it with very little money, pay close attention. This could be a game changer. Because the cost-effective do-it-yourself secrets survival food companies won't tell you about are available. Learn all about them at foodshortageusa.com. Check this out. The economic disruption that's occurred in the last 6 months is going to have consequences. Big ones, especially when it comes to food. The availability of food as well as the inevitable rising prices, which always get passed on to the consumer. The fact is, hyperinflation has huge implications for food and food prices. Smart listeners, you should begin bracing for impact. The good news? There's still time to learn how to get all your garden vegetables into your pantry, stored away just in case. Learn how at foodshortageusa.com. That's foodshortageusa.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. Comrades, call in.
You moron.
You can bring up whatever you want here in the moment. We were arguing during the break about how
Mark was arguing. We mostly just laughed.
Yeah, we were laughing at him. He's very upset because he thinks I believe everything the Russian government says, which is not true. What I do appreciate about RT is that they are critical of the U.S. federal government. The point of this story is to criticize the federal government's money printing and to point out that
the point of that story is to talk about how much holdings that the Russian government has in gold, and to obfuscate the truth of that statement.
I don't care how much holdings they have or how many holdings they have in gold.
Does it matter whether or not it's true?
Yes.
Why?
Telling lies is wrong.
Well, if we were...
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with telling a lie in most circumstances, unless, of course, somebody's pointing a gun at my head and demanding I give them all my money or whatever it is that they want me to do. I think there's certain circumstances wherein it's okay to tell a lie. But in the case of this story, we don't know how true or how false it is. It's just being presented as a news story that, for those just tuning in, the Russian government has been dumping dollars, according to this story, and buying gold. Now, Mark, you were quibbling about whether or not it was gold in physical delivery or gold in paper form. We don't know. But and I agree with you that you should buy, if you're going to buy gold, you should buy it in physical form.
Don't presume that it means that the Russian government is somehow more solvent than it was a year ago.
No, they still have their own form of paper money, the fiat currency that they print out.
That's not even what I would be concerned with.
If I were a Russian person, I'd be concerned with that.
Well, there are people that can today, right now, you can go on your local, on your, some stock account, and you can buy Russian companies, and you can invest in it. If you presume,
can you? Aren't there sanctions against Russia?
To do it.
Aren't there sanctions against Russia?
You could, at the very least, invest in companies that are doing business in Russia.
Not if there's sanctions against Russia. Maybe there are.
I wonder if you could use Bitcoin to get around those sanctions.
Well, it's not legal to do that.
I certainly wouldn't recommend that.
No, I was just wondering if it was possible.
You can use Bitcoin to get around lots of sanctions.
Yeah, I know that
Imagine
Iran,
that, free money.
Let's see, Cuba, Democratic Republic of Congo, Iran, Iraq, Liberia, North Korea, Sudan, Syria, Zimbabwe. Okay, Russia does not appear. Balkans, Belarus, Burma, Ivory Coast. Yeah, so it's not on that list, at least at the moment. But that's the thing you got to be careful with, is if there's
sanctions on Liberia?
According to WM.edu. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's the same list of sanctions that's relevant, but anyway, the point is here, what RT is doing is they're trying to undermine the U.S. federal government. That's the whole point of RT, at least in the U.S. There's RT America, and then there's RT other countries that they broadcast to. Certainly, when they're reporting in Russia, they're more likely to be telling lies, but frequently
they're reporting about Russia here and Moscow's holdings of gold, and that's the part that I'm questioning.
Yeah, and question it, and you should question it. I mean, that's their tagline is "Question more." That's what RT actually is trying to encourage people in the United States to do. Now, they don't want the Russians to question what they say; they want them to.
I don't imagine RT even gets. It's probably not even available in Russia, would be my guess.
I'm not sure about it. I think
they've got their own
state
media.
But anyway, RT's all across the whole planet. They've got a huge
and the United States has its Voice of America that does its stuff too.
Same thing. That's the propaganda arm of the United States that broadcasts to other countries. But in this article, the point is, Mark, that they want people to know that the Russian government is dumping dollars for gold. Now, if that's true, and that's what they're presenting, then I support it, because I think people, and this is what we've been telling people, is that I think it's a good idea to take your value out of fiat currencies and put it into things that are more tangible, that can help you keep up with inflation, like what we're just about to talk about here with CNN reporting on the grocery store prices going up. Well, if you didn't have dollars and you instead had gold, or you instead had Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, there's a good chance your value of those things has been going up, and so you've been kept up with inflation. You are not being punished by inflation if you have your value.
You would actually be ahead of the inflation.
You could be.
If you had invested in Bitcoin when the stimulus checks first arrived.
Oh, yeah, way ahead.
Yeah. So that's all that the point of this story was to say, hey, look, even the Russian government is dumping dollars. Maybe other people should consider doing the same thing. Now, again, we're not giving investment advice. I'm just saying what I might do if I were in somebody's circumstance with a $1,200 check sitting there wondering what to do with it. Let's go to David. He's in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, so the deputies that are all sitting around the table at the closed restaurant, by order of the governor, closed restaurant in Lee County, New Mexico, Hobbs, New Mexico.
Yeah, you called about this, I think, like a week ago, where there's a photograph of some sheriff's deputies who went to a closed restaurant to have dinner, and they made a point of stating that they were not going to do anything as far as enforcing the government's orders on shutdowns. Is that right?
Yeah, so now the New Mexico Attorney General, Hector Balderas, I'm sorry, he's bald, and so I get confused.
It's funny.
Yeah, it is if you look at him, Balderas, and so he's now suing that same sheriff's department to force them to enforce the governor's law.
Now, isn't the sheriff's department going to be the highest law enforcement agency within that
that's
county?
What they say, but the attorney general is the top cop in the state.
Right.
So what's the basis of the lawsuit? Are they claiming that the local sheriffs have some sort of obligation to enforce governor's orders?
Well, that's what they're saying, and hopefully, we'll see what a judge says. Actually, the Supreme Court had a related ruling just yesterday. There was a live broadcast from the Supreme Court chambers where a bunch of restaurant owners were suing the governor because the governor was imposing that $5,000 a day fine level, and they were suing, saying that she didn't have the power to, under her emergency order, to enforce a $5,000 a day fine. And the Supreme Court sided against them and sided for the governor, saying the governor can fine you $5,000 a day if she decides she wants to.
So I guess I'm curious. I hope you'll keep us up to date on this lawsuit, David. I hope you'll be able to follow along and see what happens, because ultimately, presumably, the lawsuit's going to ask for an injunction against the sheriff's department saying, you must enforce my orders, or else it'll be contempt of court. So will
law enforcement has always had discretion.
They always have, yes. Which will be interesting to see what happens in this case. What if the judge just ignores the fact that they have discretion and says, all right, you sheriffs, you're part of the executive branch. The governor is the head of the executive branch. The governor issues an order. You must follow it. You're part of the executive branch. You got to follow the orders of the governor. Case closed. I'm writing my injunction. You must do what the governor says. Signed, sealed, delivered, boom. You're under orders. Then what? Will the sheriffs keep doing their, we're the good guys, we're going to do the right thing, and actually go up against the judge? Because they've been willing to go up against the governor. Are they willing to go up against a judge's order and be targeted potentially for contempt of court? And if so, who will arrest them?
Yeah, I don't
Will they arrest
be allowed
themselves?
to arrest them.
Will they arrest themselves? Because normally when you get a contempt of court charge, it's a law enforcement officer who comes to arrest you.
Yeah, well, they would send the New Mexico State Police. If anybody went to deal with them, it would be the New Mexico State Police.
Aren't state police still subservient to the sheriffs and its deputies within a specific county?
Right. So the sheriff's the highest law enforcement official in a given county.
Is that true, though?
They wouldn't be able to leave that county without being arrested.
Well, I would bet that the sheriff's deputies are going to do what the sheriff says, and I would bet that the state police would do what the governor says, and you would have a very interesting circumstance between people who are basically quasi-military organizations in the United States.
That's essentially what we'll have if I become sheriff here in Cheshire County as well, because I'm not enforcing any of it. I mean, it'll be a jurisdictional nightmare.
I'm hoping we get to that point.
Getting hit with contempt of court for just releasing people outside the courthouse.
Well, that's the other thing. At least
what
now,
are they going to do?
I don't know, David, if it's this way in New Mexico, but here in New Hampshire, the sheriffs are the ones who take people, they transport them from and to the jail and to the courthouse. So even if they get arrested by the state police don't have their own jail that they can take them to unless they take them to the state prison. But that's not normally where you would hold somebody in advance of a trial. So they would presumably take them to the
No, and I don't think it's legal.
County.
Remember the story with Footloose?
Yeah, well, I would think they would take them to the county jail, which the sheriffs operate.
I doubt that they would lock them up. They would just cite them. They wouldn't lock them up, I'm sure. But
what
it
if
would
they don't
still
pay
be
the fine?
interesting.
Well, now, wait a minute. If you get busted for contempt of court, I've never heard of a fine being issued for that. Does that happen? Normally, you just get locked in jail.
It depends on the type
Yeah,
of
they
contempt.
can. I've been fined for contempt of court.
Okay,
Yes, they can fine you for yeah.
But if you don't pay that fine, then you get additional contempt of court.
Yeah, really the question is how far are these sheriffs willing to push this? Because
I can't wait to find out.
Because it was a cool photo of them sitting around in this this restaurant eating with masks off and just having a good old time and as in their words supporting local businesses. Will they continue to make this stand? We will hopefully hear about that from David as time goes on, and we'll see you tomorrow night online. In the meantime, Aria, plug your website.
Which one?
Sheriff.
AriaForSheriff.com.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Help is coming. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows says if Congress can't reach an agreement on a coronavirus stimulus, the president will take action.
I've been very clear that if there's not a deal to be made, that the president will take executive action to address as much as he can, as generously as he can, as quickly as he can.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer is blaming the White House for the lack of a deal.
The administration has finally come round to the view that we should extend the moratorium on evictions, but they continue to refuse to provide actual assistance to the renters themselves. What good does that do?
Lawmakers will remain in Washington next week to hammer out a deal. A proposal to disband the police department in Minneapolis has been put on hold as the city commission has decided to take more time to review it. The calls to dismantle the department began after the death of George Floyd while in police custody in May. The move means voters will not be able to consider the plan in November. Federal officers have left Portland, Oregon, but the nightly protests continue.
Portland police declared a riot after demonstrators damaged the inside of the Portland Police Association building and set a fire. At least 3 people were arrested. At one point, things got scary. A pickup truck sped down a street with protesters, but had a motorcycle stuck underneath it, creating sparks. There were also 2 shootings, one not far from the police building, and another that forced the crowd to scatter, but no one was apparently injured in any of those incidents. Monday night, police declared an unlawful assembly. At least 2 people were arrested after some officers were injured, and protesters threw objects at those cops and tried to blind them with lasers. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The Trump campaign and its allies have raised a record $165 million in July, according to a statement. They say they have a total of $300 million to spend. America is listening to Fox News.
America's ready to get back to work. But to win in the new economy, you need every advantage to succeed. Smart companies run on NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. With NetSuite, you'll have visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in sales, NetSuite gives you visibility and control so you can manage every penny with precision. You'll have the agility to compete with anyone, work from anywhere, and run your whole company right from your phone. Join over 20,000 companies who trust NetSuite to go faster with confidence. NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business.
Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Get your free guide and schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
The former Atlanta police officer charged with shooting a black man outside a Wendy's now taking legal action against 2 city leaders.
Garrett Rolfe was the Atlanta PD officer who shot Rayshard Brooks outside a Wendy's restaurant when Brooks stole a taser, ran away from his arrest, and fired the weapon at officers. Rolfe was terminated and charged with murder, but Rolfe is now suing the interim Atlanta police chief and Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, saying he was denied due process, that the matter was never investigated, and he was given no formal disciplinary hearing. Meanwhile, prosecutors want Rolfe's bond revoked, saying he traveled out of state, which is against the rules. Eben Brown, Fox News.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says he will install checkpoints for COVID-19 at all major bridges and tunnels into the city to stop the spread of the virus. And he's imposing a $10,000 fine for those caught breaking the 14-day quarantine. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer before you see Clorox wipes back on store shelves.
Where are the Clorox wipes? When the coronavirus pandemic hit the U.S., they were one of the first products to go, and Clorox has been trying to keep up with demand ever since. The company's CEO says the disinfecting wipes won't be on grocery store shelves until next year, in part because the supply chain is stressed. One of the products used to make wipes is polyester spun lace, which is in short supply because it's also used to make PPE, like masks, medical gowns, and medical wipes. Clorox has simplified its product lineup and ramped up production, running its factories around the clock to try and meet demand that's 6 times what it would normally be. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
SpaceX has launched a successful flight of a prototype of its Mars rocket ship. The flight only lasted about 45 seconds. It sent the rocket hundreds of feet into the air, then landed upright in Brownsville, Texas. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
This is the Onion Week in Review, pushed to the breaking point after constantly being taken to task without ever hearing a word of thanks for what it does around here. An overwhelmed and infuriated nation announced Wednesday that it was trying, okay? Jesus Christ. A poll of the American populace revealed that 33% felt they were doing pretty damn well, all things considered, while another 28% just wanted 2 measly minutes without somebody breathing down their damn neck. A group of female friends spent a raucous night on the town Thursday, validating the living shit out of each other.
You're the most talented person I know.
Eyewitness reports say the women absolutely went to town on a session of non-judgmental reassurances.
Last night was crazy. I don't even remember half the uplifting things I said to Karen. We've always been the kind of group that listens hard and consoles even harder.
And in other news, a group of semester at sea students steal an anchor for their dorm room. A 5-year-old wants to be an overworked Haitian nanny when he grows up. And every group of friends at a karaoke bar ruins every other group's night.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yep. We are unafeared here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Freedom's Nest, FreedomsPhoenix.com. Oh, sometimes it's better than others. All right, this is interesting story at the top of Freedom's Phoenix. We have Del Bigtree did a piece, and it's, I think it was over an hour, 2 hours. I mean, when he goes, he does, one a week or so. He gets you all caught up on what's happening with the vaccine stuff and everything. And Del Bigtree is the producer of the movie Vaxxed, and he's just been involved. A lot of support that we get goes to, him too. And we got him committed to go to the June 7th Vaccine Education Summit. He went to the one this last September that we had here in Phoenix, and the one in Manchester we're going to do. And is it on, Ernie? Is it on? Yeah, it's on. It's on. I'm not afraid. And of course, Dr. Judy, that's going to be awesome. And then we have Del Bigtree, and who else we got? Oh yeah, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. And then we have, requests out and talk to people and schedules and stuff, and we'll start adding to it. But we're starting to sell tickets. So we put the early bird ticket at something. I don't know. Have it on there. Donna's got it. We'll put it up towards the top. Yeah, Donna, put up towards the top the early bird on that. I really need to start. But yeah, here it is at the bottom. I'll go ahead and put it up there. But he did a story on Dr. Fauci, this Anthony Fauci. Now, I have heard nothing good about him from Dr. Judy. Man, the other guys in the vaccine education summits and everything. He's the nemesis of everything. He's the deep state of pharma, that kind of thing. So I'm going, okay, why? Well, the issue that came up that I just found interesting, that kind of, who you shilling for, There is a medicine called chloroquine or something. And I don't want to promote it, or some people run out and get it. Because then they do the fudding thing. They had, a man and his wife took this stuff, and the man died. He died because he took this stuff. He died. Well, then you read the story, and it has a similar name. It's not. I don't think it's the same stuff. Certainly, it's not. Being dosed right or something. It's something you put in your fish aquarium to clean it or something. And it's the same name. Oh, so he took that and he died. So you think you can't just take this stuff, you'll die. I'm like, wow, do they ever stop? Of course not. So it's a chemical, a drug that they do to treat malaria. And for whatever reason, different countries and different, I don't know if it's different doctors recommend it, but a lot of countries are reporting, this stuff, kicks butt on this COVID-19 thing. Boom, done. Well, Trump's all about optimism. And he goes, hey, they're having good luck with this stuff. And just FYI, I will throw it out there, Fauci jumps up. No, it hasn't been tested. That's anecdotal evidence of we don't test vaccines or anything. But that hadn't been tested either, and you shouldn't do that one because it hasn't been tested. And I'm like, okay. And then Trump, they're going back and forth. He goes, yeah, give it a try. We should find out. What we got to lose? What's the big deal? Let's find out what happened. Let's turn anecdotal into more than anecdotal. I got anecdotal evidence that it kind of works. Well, that might be evidence of it working. So let's go find some evidence. No, you can't. You're doing it wrong. I'm going, wow, what a response. And that's what is making a point of in this most recent video that he was doing. And I didn't get that. I got it late. And I didn't get to finish it, but I'm like 20, 30 minutes into it, right when it was getting good, and I'm going, okay, you got another hour of this? All right, I'll hold this till later. So I put that up at the top of the page, and, it's up there now. I mean, it scrolls down so fast. But the battle's on, and I'm with my, close friends and family and so on. Everybody's got a list. I think this about that, and what do you think? And let's start thinking. And my kids are, they're doing a lot of cool homeschool because they don't have school. It's like heck they don't. They got school. And one of my sons has 4 kids, and he goes, yep. Look at this. And he was teaching, what are you planting? And they had all these, different plant beds and little planting stuff around their backyard and stuff. And he goes, food, tomato plants, there's squash, there's, different herbs and stuff. So you had the kids, and let me show you what you learned. You didn't go to school, so you got some education on how to grow food. I'm like, that's awesome. And then the other ones, they're all the cousins on SMS, they're doing text message videos and so on. They got like push up and sit up challenges, all little kids, doing it, and who can get 10 faster and stuff. I mean, they're just having fun. Well, they're actually learning stuff, and I think that's what's going to happen across the country. It's going to be, if this is the new normal, all right, I want, government doesn't work, I want my money back. We have that T-shirt. Government doesn't work, I want my money back. And it was a phrase of a supporter. She's really just like that phrase, but I had to take out the graphic, for her, make the shirts and so on. But I added a graphic to it, and the graphic has a graph, and it has 2 lines, and it came from a TED Talk that I don't know, somebody years ago had an impression on me, and the point that they were making is that when you get the disparagement, the distance between on a graph of what government promises are and what they actually deliver, when that gap gets wide enough, that's the revolution gap. It's kind of like a number. It's prediction. It's a sign. Well, at the beginning we started with like 1776. I think I started at the Revolution or something, and it had government promises, and it was going up, and then what they delivered. Well, they kind of they're closer than they are now, and then you'd have the promise would be, and we're gonna have the Civil War. It's not so much that it's the slavery thing as they enslaved everybody else. They go, now you're all equally slaves, and you weren't a Virginian or a Georgian anymore. You were, a Northern or Southerner. You were American. Damn it! And you started getting things like the Federal Reserve and the income tax, and you had different wars, and you could just on the graph. I was kind of just a subjective kind of thing. I go, they promise this, and then they deliver that. They promise this, and they deliver that, and they promise. And as time on the little chart, you would have these different dates, and it just showed, and I just put the revolution gap, and government doesn't work. I want my money back was the slogan, and it showed a graph. I go, look, it's not working. Well, this Federal Reserve thing, I got to tell you a story. My daughter-in-law and then one of my her brother-in-law, a bunch of my in-laws and kids and everything going at it, and I'll tell you some of the conversation.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Now, in the light, there was a being. He started to moonwalk.
Are you saying Michael Jackson has come back from the alien spaceships?
And he said, I am Michael Jackson.
See, I called it.
There
we go. You talk with God throughout your life. You heard this voice that you recognized as God telling you, do you believe in magic, inviting you to look out the window, where you then saw Michael Jackson coming down from a rainbow ray of light coming from the sky. So what happened then? Did he, invite you to his playland or whatever it is he has?
9 months later, the virgin birth happened again.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
A lot of things happened that night. He asked if he could resurrect himself inside of me. I'm like, yeah.
You called it. Did you have Michael Jackson's baby?
I had Michael Jackson.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Okay. this is kind of the thought process that started, in a lot of I just give you there's different lists that I'm on, and you wind up on a Telegram. They, I don't know, you get added. And it's been interesting conversations. A lot of these guys are, God, who did this? It's activist, voluntarist from Anarchapulco kind of thing. A lot of the anarchist, world alternative media guys are up there. Tempechote. A lot of the people a lot of these people I don't know. There's a lot of people, and I rarely comment, or I just put up. I read their stuff, and they start getting in intentional communities, and and all the other stuff. And I got 3 questions: what do I have to do? What can I do? What's your conflict resolution? I just you have to. I don't want to do it. You can't. I don't want to do it. So whatever. So I don't have much input. But on the a lot of the guys are going to Mexico, and they just before it's clam, we're gone. And we're gone. So it's a good opportunity for a lot of people, especially these young guys. That's one thing, is that travel, it's so fluid. When they get to the Starliner and it's 40 minutes anywhere to anything, the world's going to be different. There's no getting around that. They're going to want to track it and surveil it and carbon tax credit everything, and have the United Nations have their cut, and then then we have a worldwide army of blah blah blah. I mean, you just know where this is going. And I think, there's a fork in the road here. Somebody better pick it up, so we'll see what happens. Now, I just posted this one thing. Another friend of mine does memes. I mean, he every morning, we don't get our memes, man. We're banging the table. Hey, what's up? And there's one about the Federal Reserve, and it's a monopoly rule. And it says, Federal Reserve, if you don't understand how it works, start with Rule 11 in the board game Monopoly. Now, this is Rule 11. What if the bank runs out of money? Some players think the bank is bankrupt if it runs out of money. The bank never goes bankrupt. To continue playing, use slips of paper to keep track of each player's banking transactions until the bank has enough paper money to operate again. The banker may also issue new money on slips of ordinary paper. It's like, hey, man, they never run out of money. There's a board game Monopoly. They know how it works. You don't run out of money. They're thinking you got a long game going, and all of a sudden the bank doesn't have any more money. It's, spend it all out. You just make up more. Dummy, so okay, that's how that works. And then there was, I gotta scroll down and find this again. There was a, not attacking, there's some conversation going on, and they were talking about, I don't know, Q says this, and, some of these guys yakking about Q. And it goes, Q is a psyop to convince people Trump is still anti-deep state. The psyop is needed because Trump's actions directly conflict the notion that he's fighting the deep state. Saw this and had to reaffirm. If he wasn't deep state, Assange would be pardoned right now. Venezuela and Iran wouldn't be sanctioned, and their major exports inflow of reserve currency. He would be respecting Iraqi sovereignty instead of illegally occupying the country again. He would protect constitutional rights. He wouldn't have banned dump stocks. He wouldn't have been so wrapped up with Epstein. His Justice Department wouldn't have dropped the case after his suicide. I could keep going, but what's the point? Q is designed as an excuse for his flip-flop on much of his rhetoric and intended policies during the 2016 campaign, and to convince people he's still anti-establishment figure many thought he was. The New World Order and Democrats are using him, and hell, probably be used as a scapegoat later, and when he leaves office after committing more heinous acts and policies, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going, yeah, it sure seems that way. I mean, this Q thing, it'll come out eventually as something, someday as something. It's going to be in the history books of something. And then, of course, the victors will write whatever they want. But, the truth will eventually kind of something get out. But so I wow. What do you believe? Well, and closer, like family stuff, ouch, quit it. One of the girls is like, get me off this. It started off as, where's toilet paper? And it turned into a thing. And it was, one of the girls goes, "Get me off this list! Get me off this list!" So, and she's going to go. All of a sudden, here, let me get to the beginning of this thing. Oh my God! And I'm so effing annoyed right now. Get me off this list. And one of my sons goes, let's begin. In 1776, and it was good. You know, it was like, you know, he wanted to, I go, look, just watch V for Vendetta, you know, The Big Short, and what was the other one? Network. There's a scene in there. You know, I'll play that. What time is it? Yeah. I'll come back with that. Let me put this up so I don't forget. There's a scene from Network. It's a movie that starred Faye Dunaway and a bunch of it's like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Wherever you hear that phrase, it came from that movie, you know. And it was big in the 80s, you know, late 70s, 80s or something. And let me explain how the world really works. And it was about a television network and a popular talk show guy who's kind of like a Glenn Beck, you know. And, yeah, Glenn Beck's probably the closest to this thing. Yeah, Network. 1976. Oh, my God. Network. 1976. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and find the clip that I want to show you here in a little bit. Okay, so how much time I got? I might be able to finish it. Nah, I won't be able to finish it. All right, what I'm going to do is when we come back, I'm going to go ahead and read this post. And it's, I don't know, it probably is one of those shortest posts you can do to get to what this is all about. And it starts with back in the day of the Illuminati through and kind of and everybody and did and the Treasury and the petrodollar and yada, 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 yada. And at, I would imagine it's probably like 700 words or something. It's not that long, but it's a big freaking post. It skipped to the end, kind of. All right, well, let me tell you what's up. You know, no, before you leave, let me infect your brain with this, okay? So when we come back, I'll do that. But I wanted to go ahead and pull up the Network video. I'll have that ready when we come back. And this is the point that I'm making. When you change people's, I don't know if it's on purpose or they don't realize what's going to happen, but when you traumatize someone, when you shake them, that's the only way that you can change their perspective. You know, it's all of a sudden the atheist becomes a God-fearing Christian in the foxhole kind of thing. You know, there's no atheists in foxholes, you know, that kind of deal. So when you have this traumatic experience, it changes you, or at least it changes your perspective, or you're open to different things, or you're like, damn it, I have to work. I have to, you know, watch a documentary that isn't about global warming or something. I have to learn something. I can't just sit there and babble at the water cooler and not look like an idiot if I don't know something. You know, so they're making you look. Kids are getting educated by their parents. Oh my God. You know.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800.
How much attention span do you have? How much do you think your kids, your grandkids have? You know, what do you get to share? How do you share it? And how big a piece? You know, what? This is a talent. This is a skill. This is an art. You know, what do you say? You know, when do you stop saying? You know, the rest of the show, I want you to. This is a good experience. You know, this is. I'm gonna share some things with you guys, and you can see, you know, from little seeds in the beginning, early on, that you see how they manifest over time. 20 years, 30 years. You have your friends coming to you, calling you. One of my best friends from, you know, a long time, and we don't see each other that much. Our families, you know, got, you know, different interests and so on. But there's a lot of love there, and you know, you just pick up the phone after a month, a year, boom, you're right. It's all good, you know. And of course, we have some common friends, so we kind of keep up on, you know, what's up, and email every now and then, you know. And it's kind of, you know, we're busy, but. We share some friends that, you know, they play weekly cards and this and so on, and it's just, you know, so we're up. But he calls, he goes, well, man, you must be, you know, having plenty to talk about now, what's up and so on, because, you know, whenever we would meet, and he goes, oh, that's what you keep saying, Ernie. I'm going, look, man, I'm telling you, this is when it goes, it's going to be bad. This is, I just, FYI, I just get your crap straight, make sure you know, this, that, so on. I just don't want you to get nailed, you know, because this is what's going to happen. So, and it happened. So he's pretty good, but he didn't expect it. It's kind of, wow, man, I got Ernie on my shoulder. I'm like, yeah. And I'm going, hello. And so we had a good conversation. Our kids grew up together. We had kids together. I mean, everybody's having babies and stuff together. And so, we met them in church back in the late 80s. And just great people, great family, great, the people you want saved, the people you want to know. How do you share? When his youngest daughter is getting married, I went and visited, before the wedding, what's up? I was up there and passing. I remember it was in 2016, in August, around there, something like that, because the vax bust had come through. It's when we were doing our first vaccine education summit, and we were copying the movie and bootlegging that, and yada, yada, yada. I went to a thing, and they passed out a bunch of stuff, and it was right by their home, so I just stopped by. Well, they were vacationing in Denver, the parents, but the young girl was there, and I've known her since she's born, so, it's all Uncle Ernie kind of thing. So I'm just like, yeah, what's up? And she had just become a nurse, a maternity nurse, giving vaccines. So I go, well, this thing, it's going to blow up. Here's the, some information I was at. Well, how's everything doing? Oh, no, that's how they told us in school. You guys are all crazy. You're crazy people. And I'm going, okay. I was like, well, that's not the time. I mean, she's getting married. I want to sit there and have an argument with her and her bridesmaid or something. And so I let go. And she knew my position, though. Uncle Ernie says. So then the parents come over. It's months later or something. They come over for dinner. We hadn't getting caught up. This is just a couple years ago. And I said, yeah. I told them the experience I had with her. I go, yeah. I said, that's what they get you in school. And they say, I go, this is going to blow up, man. This is going to be a thing. So you talk about it a little bit. You get a little research for them to do, and then they just log it. Crazy Ernie, says this about that. Then when stuff starts to happen, news starts to change, things start to go, and they're like, damn, man, what the heck was he saying? And they got some terms to look up. Well, I want to go ahead. I'm going to play the network thing when we come back in the next segment, because it's like 5 minutes, and I want to, I'll just come back with it. And it starts off with him. For those of you that aren't watching the visual, it's like it's in the Manhattan Library or something. It's one of these big granite marble lobbies, a staircase made out of 2 foot thick, banisters of stone, and that kind of They're in some money, all right. So he's being like escorted by Robert Duvall, this Glenn Beck character guy, and this is back Robert Duvall, man, back in '76. This is like Godfather days, when they started making The Godfather and stuff like that. '76, Meryl Streep. I mean, Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway, which is kind of like the Meryl Streep of the day. Faye Dunaway, was the producer at a network. This is called Network. At a network that was looking for more ratings. We need sexy, man. We need to get more and make money in ratings and news and ratings and news. And this was the one thing. There's another one called Broadcast News that was done a little bit after this. And their point is that the networks, as a public service, supposedly, since when they give a crap about that, news was a loser. They didn't make money on the news. That was not where their revenue came from. That was like their public service thing to everybody. Is like, okay, and then we do the news. The news. CBS trusts us, the news. Walter Cronkite, the news. Dan Rather, the news. All these guys are... Ugh. So anyway, they... and then you find out later, Project Mockingbird was Mockingbird,